Chapter 304. Most of the people in the Dark Lightning Guards were selected and trained when they were young. Those who were able to stand out from the rest were those who had worked hard for themselves. Take Gong Sunbing for example. He had been in the Dark Lightning Guards for more than 30 years. He was very senior and had high prestige. He was quite famous around Mist City. But he was still a Dark Lightning envoy and not a supervisor. It was because his cultivation was not high enough. This was the rule of the Dark Lightning Guards, so he had nothing to say. But now, there was someone whose cultivation was lower than his, who had no foundation or qualifications, to be the supervisor, his superior. This made him feel very unconvinced in his heart. Especially since the previous supervisor had died in an accident during a mission, and the headquarters hadn't sent a new supervisor yet. The cities around Mist City were all under his jurisdiction. He could be considered to have experienced the power of a supervisor, and even sought a lot of personal benefits from it. But now, he had to hand over all these rights to someone who was far inferior to him. Thus, he had other thoughts. Gong Sunbing looked at the other three and said, Lu Xingji will be taking over in a few days. What do you all plan to do? What do we do? Qiu Cheng said, what else can we do? Just do what we usually do. But when he spoke, his eyes darted around, not daring to look directly at Gong Sunbing. Gong Sunbing sneered and said, Humph, Qiu Cheng, you're right. Then, are you going to keep those resources that you keep for yourself? Qiu Cheng's expression changed instantly. Gong Sunbing continued, you want to hide this little trick from my eyes? I'm just taking into account that you're a senior and have worked hard even if you didn't make any contributions. It's fine to take some small advantages. What I'm more curious about is whether the new supervisor will mind it or not. Qiu Cheng's expression changed again and again. He immediately put on a smile and said, hey, what new supervisor? This little brother will definitely support Brother Gong Sunday. He could tell that Gong Sunbing didn't seem to want to hand over his power. He wanted to make this new supervisor a mere figurehead. Qiu Cheng felt that since Lu Xingji could become the supervisor, this person might not have any ability, but he definitely had a background. He didn't want to offend him. But now that Gong Sunbing had something on him, it was no longer up to him. One of the duties of the Dark Thunder Guards was to monitor corruption. His actions had also violated a great taboo. If he was exposed, he would be severely punished. He might even lose his cultivation and be expelled from the Dark Thunder Guards. Gong Sunbing nodded satisfactorily. Among the 4 Dark Lightning envoys, Pang Yuan had always been his follower. As for Qiao Qian, who had just become a Dark Lightning envoy, he had never placed him in his eyes. Qiu Cheng was the only one he couldn't control. Now that he had tied him to the same boat, he didn't have any worries. Then he said, that's good. Let's make arrangements for the next few days and prepare to welcome the new supervisor. 5 days later, there were 70 to 80 people gathered in front of the Dark Thunder Manor. They were all Dark Thunder Guards who were in charge of monitoring the surrounding cities. These people were usually scattered to carry out all kinds of missions. Today, they were gathered here to welcome the new supervisor. Not long after, Leng Shiqi arrived in front of the Dark Thunder Manor in Mist Chi City wearing a black robe embroidered with thunder patterns. Everyone saw the fire pattern on his shoulder, which was the sign of a supervisor. They knew that he was the new supervisor. Gong Sunbing led everyone to welcome him and said in unison, greetings, supervisor. This was the first time Leng Shiqi saw Gong Sunbing and the others. He immediately sensed their cultivation. He was quite curious as to how they knew he would enter the city today. Leng Shiqi took out his transfer order and said to Gong Sunbing, who was standing at the front, this is the transfer order. You can take a look. Gong Sunbing smiled and said, you must be joking. How can the transfer order be fake? Your humble servant Gong Sunbing greets you. The 3 people behind him also cupped their fists and said, your humble servant Qiu Cheng, Pang Yuan, Qiao Qian. Even the dozens of Dark Thunder Guards behind him said in unison, greetings, supervisor. Leng Shiqi said indifferently, you don't have to be so polite. Gong Sunbing saw Leng Shiqi's indifferent appearance and couldn't figure out his temperament. However, this didn't change his plan. He seemed to be relieved and said, Lan Chi City finally welcomes a supervisor. With a Spirit Aperture Realm expert in charge, many things will be much easier. Gong Sunbing immediately used Leng Shiqi's cultivation to make an issue out of it. Lang Shiqi's cultivation was at the 5th level of the Spirit Pulse realm. It was a joke for him to be a supervisor at this level. He specially gathered all the Dark Thunder Guards nearby just to see Lang Shiqi make a fool of himself. In his opinion, Lang Shiqi's cultivation couldn't be faked. The Spirit Pulse realm was the Spirit Pulse realm. He had to admit this point. Once Lang Shiqi revealed his cultivation, the Dark Thunder Guards would definitely be in an uproar. As the new supervisor, he would instantly lose all his prestige. Lang Shiqi looked coldly at Gong Sunbing. He knew that the other party was trying to intimidate him. Normal Dark Thunder Guards didn't know about the supervisor's transfer, but Gong Sunbing and the other 4 Dark Thunder Guards definitely knew about it in advance. Now that Gong Sunbing mentioned Lang Shiqi's cultivation, his purpose was obvious. Lang Shiqi only said one word. Oh. What oh? Gong Sunbing was stunned. What kind of answer was this? In his expectations, Lang Shiqi might fly into a rage in front of everyone, or he might feel ashamed, or he might just remain silent. However, he didn't expect to get an oh. Lang Shiqi said again, "Won't you let me in?" Gong Sunbing shivered and hurriedly said, "This humble one has been rude. Sir, this way please." The 5 of them came to the conference hall. As for the others, they dispersed. Lang Shiqi sat on the main seat and said, "You are all Dark Thunder Guards of Mist City's Dark Thunder Manor. You have worked hard and have a lot of experience. I'm new here, so I don't know much about the Dark Lightning Guards in Misty Chi City. Therefore, I'll still need your guidance in the future." When Qiu Cheng heard this, he felt that this new supervisor didn't seem like a difficult person to get along with. He thought to himself, maybe he knows that his cultivation isn't high, so he doesn't dare to be overbearing. Among the 4 of them, only the youngest, Qiao Qian, nodded in response to Lang Shiqi. Gong Sunbing then said, "Sir, what are you saying? We don't dare to give guidance. If you have anything to say, just tell us." "Okay, then is there anything around Mist City that requires my attention recently?" Gong Sunbing shook his head and said, "Sir, everything has been calm recently. There's nothing that requires your attention." Hearing this, Lang Shiqi sneered in his heart. Chapter 305. Lang Shiqi was not unprepared before coming here and on the way here. Although Lanqi City was located in the north of the West Wilderness Prefecture, it was much more remote compared to the West Wilderness City. However, there were several trade routes that connected to the 6 nations of the West Wilderness near Lanqi City. Therefore, people from various nations came and went in the cities around Lanqi City, making it easy for spies to sneak in and cause trouble. Moreover, it had been more than half a month since the previous supervisor of Lanqi City died in the line of duty. There should be a lot of things piled up in the Dark Thunder Guard. Yet, Gong Sunbing said that there was nothing for him to deal with? This wasn't just a show of strength, but a figurehead. "Are you sure there's nothing at all?" Lang Shiqi asked again. Gong Sunbing nodded with certainty. Lang Shiqi looked at the other 3 and saw that they had the same reaction. "Ha, Lang Shiqi laughed. "That's good. Looks like I'll have an easy time in the future." "It's our duty to share your worries, Lord," Gong Sunbing said with a meaningful tone. Lang Shiqi said, "All right, I'm a little tired from the journey. You guys can leave first." Seeing Lang Shiqi's attitude, Gong Sunbing secretly smiled and left with the other 3. This ending was within Gong Sunbing's expectations. As a Spirit Pulse Realm supervisor, Lang Shiqi didn't have the strength, experience, or prestige. He really didn't know whether to turn hostile or not. In the end, he could only remain silent. From today onwards, he, Gong Sunbing, would be the supervisor of the several cities around Lanqi City. After walking out of the conference hall, Pang Yuan immediately said excitedly, "Big brother Gong Sun, from today onwards, you're in charge of Lanqi City's Dark Thunder Manor." Gong Sunbing smiled. "You can't say that. After all, we still have to listen to the supervisor." Ha. As for Lang Shiqi, he sat on the main seat with a cold expression on his face, and he sat there for half a day. It wasn't until evening that he went to the supervisor's courtyard and immediately summoned Gong Sunbing. When Gong Sunbing received the summons, he was a little confused. He didn't know what Lang Shiqi wanted to do. However, he was full of confidence. Now that the entire Dark Thunder Manor belonged to him, What was there to be afraid of? I would like to see what kind of tricks this Lu Xingji can play. Not long after, Gong Sunbing walked into Lang Shiqi's study and saw Lang Shiqi playing with a dagger. The dagger flashed with cold light from time to time. Gong Sunbing smiled inwardly. This supervisor was so idle. He cupped his hands and said, "Lord Lu, may I know why you called this lowly one?" Lang Shiqi put down the dagger after a few breaths, as if he had just noticed Gong Sunbing's arrival. He said, "Nothing, I just have a small favor to ask of you." "Sir, what are your orders?" Gong Sunbing was also very confused. He didn't know what Lang Shiqi was planning. Lang Shiqi picked up a letter on the table and said, "This letter, I'll have to trouble you to personally deliver it to Lord Yu." Deliver a letter? Gong Sunbing was naturally unhappy. Delivering a letter was such a small thing for an experienced Dark Thunder envoy to do. However, he couldn't refuse immediately. Because this letter was for Yu Ruifeng. This was the boss of all the Dark Thunder Guards in the Western Desolate Prefecture. An ordinary Dark Thunder Guard might not even see this supervisor in their lifetime. If he could see Yu Ruifeng and leave a good impression, he would benefit a lot. To be honest, he really wanted to go. However, on second thought, Lang Shiqi was personally appointed by Yu Ruifeng. This meant that their relationship wasn't shallow. Today, he had just shown his power to Lang Shiqi, and now he was going to deliver a letter? The reason why he dared to make Lang Shiqi a figurehead was because his cultivation wasn't high, and because the emperor was far away here. The headquarters rarely cared about matters here. The contents of this letter wouldn't be a complaint against him, right? But then again, although Lang Shiqi was made a figurehead by them, he was still a supervisor on the surface. If he were to reject this matter, it would be equivalent to him being accused of disobeying his honor's order. To deliver or not to deliver? Gong Sunbing hesitated. Lang Shiqi wasn't in a hurry. He played with the dagger again and waited patiently. After a while, Gong Sunbing nodded and said, "Since Sir has given the order, how could I dare to disobey?" Being able to see Yu Ruifeng was an opportunity. He didn't want to give it up. This trip to the Western Desolate City, he could also carefully inquire about Lang Shiqi's background. As for the contents of the letter, he could change it however he wanted. There was no shortage of people in the Dark Thunder Guards who could imitate handwriting. Very good. This matter is very urgent. Pack up and set off. Now. Gong Sunbing was slightly surprised. Lang Shiqi said with a serious face, "The sooner the better. Thank you for your hard work." "Okay, I will go and prepare." Gong Sunbing turned and left. But what he didn't know was that Lang Shiqi looked at his back with a murderous look in his eyes. After Gong Sunbing left Lang Shiqi's room, he didn't rush to set off. Instead, he called Qiu Cheng and the others over and told them about the letter. Qiu Cheng said, "Brother Gong Sun, this Lu Xingji wants to send you away." Gong Sunbing sneered and said, "Humph, how can I not see through such a small trick? If I'm not wrong, Lu Xingji will definitely contact you tomorrow. Remember, there is no room for negotiation between us. You should all know what to do." Gong Sunbing glanced at the three people, and finally his eyes fell on Qiu Cheng. Qiu Cheng immediately said, "Brother Gong Sun, don't worry. Since we are all in the same boat, I know what to do." Gong Sunbing continued, "I will set off as soon as possible. I will be back in 7 or 8 days. Just pretend that he doesn't exist for the next few days." After that, he quickly left the city with a trusted aide. This trusted aide was someone who was good at imitating other people's handwriting. At the same time, a figure suddenly appeared in Lang Shiqi's room. Lang Shiqi was very calm. He said, "Thousand Face. Western Baron State Branch, black-striped blood-clothed assassin Thousand Face. Greetings, sir." The person who came was a black-striped blood-clothed assassin. Thousand Face was the helper that Lang Shiqi transferred from the Western Baron State Branch. But he was still on a mission and just arrived. Lang Shiqi stood up straight and said, "You came at the right time. Imitate me." Pink ripples of light appeared around Thousand Face, and immediately after, an identical Lang Shiqi appeared. Lang Shiqi circled Thousand Face twice and exclaimed, "Wonderful! Even I almost couldn't see through it. There are still flaws. Thousand Face is not good enough. Please forgive me, sir." Lang Shiqi ordered, this is enough. Tonight, you will replace me here. If things go well, I will be back tomorrow morning. Thousand Face obeys. Then Lang Shiqi's body sank into the ground. Tonight, he was going to kill someone. Chapter 306. The moonlight tonight was very beautiful. Under the moonlight, 2 horses were galloping on the official road. The 2 people on the horses were Gong Sunbing and his trusted aide, Hang Su. If a Spirit Pulse Realm cultivator were to run at full speed, their speed would not be slower than a horse. However, galloping for such a long distance was naturally not possible. At this moment, Gong Sunbing stopped his horse. Hang Su, let's sleep nearby tonight and rest for a few hours. Yes, Lord Gong Sun. Hang Su led the horse to the side and began to prepare the things for the camp as if she was familiar with it. For the Dark Thunder Guards, sleeping in the wilderness at night was very normal. They were already used to it. Soon Hang Su set up a simple tent and said, Lord Gong Sun, you rest first. I'll keep watch. Gong Sun Bing had a lot on his mind and didn't chat with Hang Su. He nodded and sat down in the tent. At this moment, he had a faint feeling that something was wrong. Everything was going too smoothly. It was true that he intended to make the new supervisor a figurehead, but in his original plan, this was something that would be done slowly, like peeling silk from a cocoon. However, Lang Shiqi's attitude today was as if he had given up. At first, Gong Sunbing felt that Lang Shiqi was too young. However, the fact that Lang Shiqi had asked him to deliver the letter showed that Lang Shiqi still had some shrewdness. Thinking about the letter, Gong Sunbing took out the letter Lang Shiqi gave him from his mustard seed bag. He didn't hesitate to open the letter. There wasn't much content in the letter, so Gong Sunbing quickly finished reading it. He let out a cold snort. As I expected, it really is a letter of complaint. To use such childish methods, it's really childish. After reading the letter, the worry in Gong Sunbing's heart dissipated. It turned out that the new supervisor, Lu Xingji, didn't have any real ability. He carefully thought about it for a while and felt that there wouldn't be any problems even if he left for a few days, so he began to cultivate. Hang Su had been patrolling the surroundings. Woo-woo! After an unknown period of time, Hang Su suddenly heard a faint sobbing sound in her ears. Even though he was at the spirit transformation realm, his heart trembled when he heard this sound in the middle of the night in the wilderness. He immediately looked around vigilantly, but there was no one in his field of vision. Did I hear wrongly? However, just as he was doubting himself, the sobbing sound appeared again, and it was right next to his ear. Hang Su instantly turned around, but there was still no one behind him. However, the fact that there was no one there made Hang Su turn pale with fright. Because Gong Sunbing was also gone. Hang Su was dumbfounded. Gong Sunbing was less than 10 zhong away from him, and there was even a simple tent set up by him. However, at this time, his surroundings were desolate. There was nothing. All he did was turn around. What was going on? At this moment, he suddenly felt an extreme chill, as if the vitality in his body was rapidly disappearing. Hang Su opened his mouth and wanted to cry for help, but unfortunately, he didn't even have the strength to make a sound. Meanwhile, Gong Sunbing suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at Hang Su, who was standing not far away, and then glanced around, but he didn't find anything abnormal. Ha! That's strange. I clearly sensed a trace of spiritual energy fluctuation just now. How did it disappear all of a sudden? Gong Sunbing murmured. As a veteran of the Dark Thunder Guards, he wasn't a fool. He was very good at capturing spirit force and sensing danger. Hang Su. Gong Sunbing called out his name. Lord Gong Sun, what are your orders? Hang Su replied, but his body didn't move. Gong Sunbing said, nothing. Before he finished speaking, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. It stood to reason that if he called Hang Su would definitely come over. What's more, although it was Hang Su's voice, the direction it came from was a bit off. Just at this moment, a huge wave of spiritual energy appeared beneath him. Immediately, cold air and hot waves of fire intertwined and gushed out from the ground, directly swallowing Gong Sunbing. A demon-like figure suddenly appeared. It was Lang Shiqi, who was wearing the demonic beast blood rune armor. Being affected by this side, Hang Su's body was also shaken to the ground. At this moment, He was already dead. To deal with such a spirit transformation realm cultivator, Lung Shiqi only used illusions to silently take his life. Although Gong Sunbing was aware of the danger, he didn't expect that the person who ambushed him was actually a spirit caster. Under the sweeping of the ice and fire tornado, everything within a radius of 20 to 30 feet was destroyed. Some places on the ground were charred black, while others were covered in a layer of ice crystals. Gong Sunbing's hands were flying around, each palm containing the power of Vajra Mountain, blocking the power of ice and fire. Leng Shiqi didn't expect to kill an 8th-level Spirit Pulse Realm cultivator in one move. He opened his 10 fingers and 10 bloodlines shot out. Each bloodline condensed blood qi and aimed at Gong Sunbing's vital points. Gong Sunbing's expression couldn't help but change. However, what shocked him even more was that the person who was standing in front of him just now had disappeared. But now that he was surrounded by the power of ice and fire, and there were 10 blood-red fingers shooting towards him, he didn't have the spare energy to look for his opponent. Gong Sunbing suddenly clasped his hands together and a thick golden light appeared. The golden light immediately forced back all the ice and fire power. He slammed his palms down and the golden light condensed into a huge palm that slammed down, directly shattering all the bloodlines. However, Gong Sunbing wasn't happy at all. He knew that the most dangerous thing had yet to appear. He hurriedly turned around and formed a seal with his hands. Layers of golden light protected his body. However, there was still no one around him. Who is this expert? Are you willing to show yourself? He couldn't help but feel a little anxious. He had to maintain the seal and it consumed a large amount of spirit energy every second. If this dragged on, he would be the one to die first. Since you don't want to meet me, I will take my leave first. Gong Sunbing decided to leave. This place was very close to Mist Chi City. As long as he was near the city, he would be safe. However, he didn't understand who would come to assassinate him. There were very few people who knew that he had left the city. At this moment, a voice answered him. Have a safe journey. Gong Sunbing was shocked when he heard these words. He wasn't surprised by the meaning of these words, but because the owner of this voice was actually Lu Xingji. Immediately, a cold blade aura appeared in front of his eyes. It was as if there was only this blade aura in this world. The blade aura flashed and instantly tore apart the golden light around him. After that, he saw a headless corpse. It was his own body. Chapter 307. Early the next morning, a servant knocked on Lung Shiqi's door. He was here to deliver breakfast to Lung Shiqi. This person kept his head down the moment he entered the room. He planned to leave after placing the breakfast on the table, but before he left, he secretly glanced at Lung Shiqi. He thought to himself, I heard that this new supervisor's authority is about to be taken away. Looking at his tired face, he probably didn't sleep at all last night. Just as he was about to leave the room, Lung Shiqi's voice was heard. Stop. That person's body immediately stiffened. He asked in a low voice. Sir, do you have any other orders? You're also a Dark Thunder Guard? Leng Shiqi's tone was very indifferent. It sounded like he wasn't in a good mood. No, this lowly one's cultivation is low. I'm only qualified to become a Dark Thunder Guard. Leng Shiqi saw that he was indeed only at the pure spirit realm. No wonder he was doing the work of a servant. He asked, What's your name? How long have you been here? This lowly one is Wei Guan. I've been in Dark Thunder Manor for 2 years. Wei Guan, you've been here for quite some time. Let me ask you a few questions. Wei Guan was shocked when he heard this. He was young and his cultivation wasn't high, but he had to go through many rounds of selection to become a reserve member of the Dark Thunder Guard. He immediately guessed that Lung Shiqi might ask him about Dark Thunder Manor. Wei Guan lowered his head so low that it almost touched the ground. Sir, this lowly one is only a servant. I don't know much about the manor. HM? Leng Shiqi's tone was clearly a little angry. I haven't even asked and you're already saying you don't know. What, even you don't put this supervisor in your eyes? Wei Guan trembled and knelt on the ground. This lowly one doesn't dare. Even if this new supervisor didn't have any ability and had his authority taken away by Gong Sunbing and the others, he was still a supervisor. In Misty Chi City, he was his immediate superior. Wei Guan was also in a difficult situation. How did he get involved in the fight between the people above? If he didn't answer the invigilator's question today and was killed, he wouldn't be able to reason with anyone. If he answered and Gong Sunbing and the others found out about it, he would still be in trouble. Leng Shiqi's eyes flashed as he asked, "What's the relationship between Gong Sunbing, Pang Yuan, Qiu Cheng, and Qiao Qian?" Hearing Leng Shiqi's question, Wei Guan let out a sigh of relief. This wasn't a secret, and almost everyone knew about it. He said, "Gong Sunbing is the most senior Dark Thunder envoy in the Dark Thunder Manor in the Mist Qi City. He has been here for about 20 years. Even the previous supervisor isn't as senior as him. Therefore his prestige here was very high. He also had many trusted aides in the Dark Thunder Guards, including Pang Yuan, who had been groomed and promoted by him." Pang Yuan's temper was more straightforward, but he was also very straightforward. Qiu Chang could be considered a veteran, but his reputation among the Dark Thunder Guards wasn't very good, mainly because he was a little selfish. He actually disliked Pang Yuan. The two of them would occasionally exchange a few words, but there had never been any conflict between them. As for Qiao Qian, he only became a Dark Thunder envoy after breaking through to the Spirit Pulse realm half a year ago. He's the most junior and usually keeps a low profile. He's kind to people, even to servants like us. Speaking of this, Wei Guan looked up at Leng Shiqi. Leng Shiqi waved his hand and said, "You may leave." Wei Guan immediately wanted to leave as if he had been pardoned, but Leng Shiqi said, "Tell Pang Yuan and the others to meet me in the meeting hall." Wei Guan's heart tightened. He had just finished talking about the Dark Thunder envoys. Why did Leng Shiqi want to rush them? However, this wasn't something he could worry about, so he immediately nodded and left. After a while, Leng Shiqi sat on the main seat in the meeting hall. His right hand's fingers casually tapped the armrest, making sounds. Pang Yuan and the others sitting below had different expressions. Pang Yuan had an impatient expression. Qiu Cheng's eyes flashed. Last night, he had guessed that Leng Shiqi would find them today. Now it had come true. However, what he did not understand was that Leng Shiqi had called them here without saying a word. What did this mean? Qiao Qian sat expressionlessly. Just like that, another hour passed. Leng Shiqi was still tapping the armrest. When the sound reached Pang Yuan's ears, it made him even more annoyed. He was not someone who could sit down. At this time, he finally could not help but ask, "Lord Supervisor, what is the matter with you? If there is nothing else, this lowly subordinate will leave first." Leng Shiqi glanced at him and said coolly, "This supervisor hasn't even spoken yet. When is it your turn to speak?" Pang Yuan immediately became angry. He stood up, but he suddenly remembered that Gong Sunbing had said before leaving to pretend Leng Shiqi did not exist. Pang Yuan swallowed back the words in his mouth. Unexpectedly, Leng Shiqi murmured, "It's just a dog of Gong Sunbing." "Lu, what did you say?" Pang Yuan's anger that he had just suppressed exploded in an instant. He pointed at Leng Shiqi's nose and shouted angrily. When Qiu Cheng saw this, he secretly knew that things were bad. He could tell that Leng Shiqi was deliberately targeting Pang Yuan today. Now that Pang Yuan had taken the bait, what would Leng Shiqi do? However, to everyone's surprise, Leng Shiqi laughed. Pang Yuan could not help but be taken aback. His expression became even uglier. "What are you laughing at?" Leng Shiqi did not answer him. What answered him was a huge devil flame palm. The 6-yang poisonous fire palm slammed out. The violent palm wind instantly overturned all the tables and chairs in the room. The raging devil flame spread out waves of heat, making people feel as if they had fallen into a fiery hell. How could Pang Yuan expect Leng Shiqi to suddenly attack him? In a hurry, he only had time to pull out a spirit saber. His saber aura was like a turbulent wave. The saber aura that appeared suddenly had a terrifying power. However, before he could slash out with his saber, the 6-yang poisonous fire palm had already arrived. Pang Yuan's cultivation was similar to Leng Shiqi's. They were both at the 5th level of the Spirit Pulse realm. However, Leng Shiqi had multiple high-level cultivation methods. His spiritual power was mutated and he had even opened 10 spirit pulses. Just his foundation alone was much stronger than Pang Yuan's. Under this palm, Pang Yuan was directly sent flying. He spat out several mouthfuls of blood in midair and slammed heavily onto the ground. There was a faint devil flame burning on his body and inside, causing his body to spasm. Lung Shiqi did not show mercy. He stretched out 4 fingers and 4 thunder-like finger forces shot out, leaving 4 bloody holes in Pang Yuan's limbs. Pang Yuan's head tilted and he completely fainted. Qiu Cheng and Xiao Qian were both stunned. They were even more horrified. Leng Shiqi's instant explosion and crippled Pang Yuan, who was at the 5th level of the Spirit Pulse realm, in 2 moves shocked them greatly. You have no respect for your seniors and offended your superiors. You deserve it. Men, take him away. Chapter 308. As soon as Lung Shiqi finished speaking, 2 dark thunder guards carried Pang Yuan away to be treated. Then Leng Shiqi picked up a chair and sat down as if nothing had happened. Qiu Cheng and Xiao Qian couldn't sit still. Leng Shiqi heavily injured Pang Yuan in a thunderous manner. This was a great lesson for Pang Yuan and also a warning to others. Qiu Cheng originally thought that Leng Shiqi called them here to persuade them or give them some benefits to appease them. But he never expected Leng Shiqi to be so strong. Not just strong but powerful. Qiu Cheng finally understood why the higher-ups sent Leng Shiqi to be the supervisor. The strength he just displayed was comparable to the late stage of the Spirit Pulse realm. And he looked to be around 30 years old. This kind of person had a bright future. The Western Desert State headquarters saw his potential. Qiu Cheng vaguely felt that the situation was completely out of their control. And it had only been a day since they took over Leng Shiqi. Leng Shiqi sat on the chair and continued to knock on the armrest. He looked at Qiu Cheng and Xiao Qian but his eyes were emotionless. Qiu Cheng didn't know what to do but he knew that as long as he didn't go against Leng Shiqi had no reason to attack him. He had already prepared himself for a torrent of abuse, but Xiao Qian, who was by his side, did something that made him turn pale with fright. Xiao Qian walked forward and knelt on one knee. This lowly Xiao Qian is willing to follow the supervisor to the death. Gong Sunbing thought highly of himself and looked down on everyone. He even violated the principle of the Dark Thunder Guards and took ill-gotten gains. These are the evidence that I have been collecting. Xiao Qian took out a small booklet and presented it with both hands. Leng Shiqi looked at Xiao Qian with interest. He picked up the booklet but didn't look at it and put it into his mustard seed bag. Since Xiao Qian had evidence of Gong Sunbing's corruption, it wasn't something that could be collected in a day or two. Most likely, he had been preparing to use his army against Gong Sunbing a long time ago. If Leng Shiqi was really just an incompetent supervisor, Xiao Qian would naturally stand on Gong Sunbing's side. However, Leng Shiqi suddenly transferred Gong Sunbing away last night and heavily injured Pang Yuan today. Clearly, he was preparing to seize power. Why did the 4 of them dare to make Leng Shiqi a figurehead? Firstly, he had no foundation and no experience. Secondly, his cultivation was not high. If Gong Sunbing, who was in the late stage of the Spirit Pulse realm, could suppress him, how could he be willing to be under Leng Shiqi? But now that Leng Shiqi has shown his strength, things are completely different. Xiao Qian immediately chose a new team and took out the evidence to prove his loyalty. Leng Shiqi said with satisfaction, "Very good, get up." "Yes." Xiao Qian stood up and stood behind Leng Shiqi. Qiu Cheng's mind went blank. Everything was fine yesterday. The 4 of them worked together to make the new supervisor a figurehead. But at night, Gong Sunbing was transferred away, Pang Yuan was heavily injured, Xiao Qian betrayed them, and now he was all alone. His cultivation was only in the 6th stage of the Spirit Pulse realm, not much stronger than Pang Yuan. He knew that he was no match for Leng Shiqi. In terms of status, Leng Shiqi was 1 level higher than him. What should he do now? What could he do? Qiu Cheng. Leng Shiqi's voice entered his ears and made him stop thinking. Qiu Cheng said, "I'm here. Do you know about what Gong Sunbing did?" "I don't know." "Okay, you can go back now." Qiu Cheng. "Go back? You're letting me go just like that?" Qiu Cheng couldn't believe his ears. Leng Shiqi raised his eyebrows and said, "What, you want me to take care of your food?" Qiu Cheng immediately bowed and left. Then he wiped the cold sweat off his face. Everything that happened today was too strange. It was completely out of his expectations. He didn't expect anything at all. Pang Yuan's heavy injury, Xiao Qian's betrayal. But he still didn't understand why Leng Shiqi let him go so easily. In the meeting hall, Leng Shiqi said, "Chao Qian, tell me, why did I let Qiu Qing go?" Chao Qian thought for a moment and said, "I'm just guessing. First, Qiu Cheng has always been careful with his words and actions. It's hard for him to find a chance to act. Second, you want him to contact Gong Sunbing as soon as possible so that he can be convicted of corruption." Leng Shiqi smiled and said, "You're only half right. Qiu Cheng still has a trace of hope in his heart, and so does Pang Yuan. Their hope is Gong Sunbing. As long as Gong Sunbing comes back, they still have a chance to turn the tables. What I want to do is let them wait for hope." With that, Leng Shiqi got up and left. Only Chao Qian was left in deep thought. He was thinking carefully about the meaning of Leng Shiqi's words. Finally, he thought of a possibility. That was, Gong Sunbing might not be able to come back. If his guess was right, then this new supervisor was a little too scary. He couldn't help but be glad that he made the right choice. Chao Qian shouted, "Men, tidy up this place. Prepare the best things, especially the supervisor's seat. Get him a decent one." Dark Thunder Manor wasn't peaceful today. How could such a big commotion be kept under wraps in the meeting hall? The news of Pang Yuan being crippled by Leng Shiqi in 2 moves quickly spread throughout Dark Thunder Manor. Everyone in this small place was in a state of panic. At night, Pang Yuan could only lie on his bed because his limbs were crippled. 2 servants helped him apply medicine before being chased away by Pang Yuan. Even though Pang Yuan couldn't move his body, he still cursed, "Lu Xingji, Lu Xingji. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant when Brother Gong's son comes back." "Is that so?" "Unfortunately, your brother Gong's son will probably never come back." A ghostly voice suddenly appeared. Pang Yuan's eyes widened. He struggled to turn his body. To his horror, a figure had appeared in his room. This person was hidden in the darkness and his face couldn't be seen clearly. However, he recognized one of them from his voice and body shape. Pang Yuan gritted his teeth and said, "Lu Xingji." Immediately after, Pang Yuan only saw 2 5-colored lights suddenly light up in the darkness, and then he lost consciousness. He lost consciousness forever. Leng Shiqi walked to Pang Yuan's corpse and tore off his mustard seed bag to absorb his soul. At this moment, a figure strangely appeared beside Leng Shiqi. He was dressed in a blood-red robe. It was Thousand Face. Leng Shiqi said, "From today onwards, you are Pang Yuan." There was a flash of light and another Pang Yuan appeared. Even the wounds on his body were the same. Subordinate Pang Yuan greets the supervisor. Chapter 309. It had been 3 days since Leng Shiqi had seriously injured Pang Yuan. Qiu Cheng had felt like a year in these 3 days. Although Leng Shiqi had not come to find him again, this made him even more flustered. He could not guess what Leng Shiqi was going to do to him. At this time, a Dark Thunder Guard confidant walked in and whispered something into his ear. Qiu Cheng's expression changed greatly. "It's true." He still found it hard to believe what he had just heard. "Sir, it's true. I wasn't the only one who saw it. Several people passing by saw it with their own eyes. It can't be false." Qiu Cheng's expression darkened. Then his eyes turned quickly and he decided to see with his own eyes. Soon, he came to the front of Leng Shiqi's room. However, he did not approach and looked from afar. After 2 incense sticks worth of time, Pang Yuan walked out as expected. Qiu Cheng's heart sank as he thought, Pang Yuan actually came to find Lu Xingji. What is he thinking? Then he saw Leng Shiqi personally send Pang Yuan out. The two were talking and laughing as though they were very close. Qiu Cheng was stunned. 3 days ago, Pang Yuan had been seriously injured by Leng Shiqi. Now that he could get out of bed, he came to find Leng Shiqi. But they were still talking and laughing? Qiu Cheng felt that the recent events were too strange. At this time, he faintly heard Pang Yuan mention his name. Because he was too far away and did not dare to use his spirit power to avoid being discovered, he could only vaguely hear the words, Qiu Cheng weakness. However, these few words caused Qiu Cheng's entire body to turn cold. His entire body turned ice cold. Qiu Cheng roared in his heart, Pang Yuan also betrayed me. Not only did he betray Gong Sunbing, he also gave out my weakness. Damn it, idiot. Cho Chang started to panic. If his weakness fell into the hands of the new supervisor, then he would be at the other's mercy. What do I do? What do I do? Cho Chang panicked. He could not help but move back and forth, almost scratching his head. Brother Cho? A voice suddenly rang out. Cho Chang turned his head. When he saw that it was Chao Qian, he straightened his posture and reined in his expression. Chao Qian asked curiously, Brother Cho, what are you doing here? Cho Chang coughed dryly. Nothing. Brother Cho is also here to see the supervisor, right? Wasn't that Pang Yuan? Why had he come out of Lord Lu's room? Looks like they're having a good time. Could it be that Pang Yuan has also turned over to the light? Chao Qian's words were like a stab to Cho Chang's heart. Even someone as scheming as Cho Chang couldn't control himself, and his expression turned even uglier. When Chao Qian saw that Cho Chang didn't say anything, he sneered inwardly and walked past him. However, before he left, he said, Brother Cho, a wise man submits to circumstances. Could it be that Brother Cho wants to be like Pang Yuan, who only learned to repent after suffering? Cho Chang was really starting to waver, but there was still a sliver of hope in his heart. That hope was Gong Sun Bing. As long as Gong Sun Bing returned, there was still hope. After Lung Shiqi sent Pang Yuan away, he saw Chao Qian walk over with a smile on his face. When the two entered the room, Lung Shiqi asked, How was Cho Chang's reaction? Chao Qian replied, It was exactly as my lord predicted. He's already panicking and confused, and his heart is starting to waver. Actually, everything that happened today was just a show arranged by Lung Shiqi. Chao Qian was also the one who told him about Cho Chang's personal gains. However, if it was Chao Qian who said it, it would be far less shocking than if it was Pang Yuan who said it. Chao Qian continued, My lord, if you were to rope in Cho Chang now, I believe that there's at least a 70% chance of success. Lung Shiqi shook his head. There's no hurry. Let me ask you something first. Does our Dark Thunder Manor have the right to recruit Dark Thunder Guards? Chao Qian didn't react for a moment. This topic had crossed too far. However, he immediately replied, Yes, but my lord can only recruit 30 people at most. If you want more, you'll have to apply to Great Supervisor Duan Chun. Leng Shiqi nodded thoughtfully and asked, You should know how many trusted aides Gong Sunbing has, right? When Chao Qian heard this, his heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have guessed what Leng Shiqi wanted to do. Gong Sunbing has a lot of experience here. A third of the Dark Thunder Guards are his trusted aides. There are so many. Leng Shiqi was shocked, but at the same time, he understood. If it were him, he would also choose to make the new supervisor a mere figurehead. Leng Shiqi ordered, Now, you're going to do two things. First, give me a list of all of Gong Sunbing's trusted aides. Second, gather all of the Dark Thunder Guards and gather at Dark Thunder Manor the day after tomorrow. Chao Qian took a deep breath. He knew that Leng Shiqi was going to get rid of his dissidents. However, since he was already on Leng Shiqi's side, he could only do as he was told. However, he was secretly very surprised by Leng Shiqi's methods. Let's not talk about others. Let's talk about Pang Yuan. Chao Qian couldn't figure out how Leng Shiqi managed to rope him in. Now, he felt more and more that his choice was very wise. Time passed in the blink of an eye. After 2 days, all of the Dark Thunder Guards around Mist Chi City except for Gong Sunbing had gathered. Leng Shiqi faced 70 to 80 Dark Thunder Guards with his hands behind his back. Behind him were Chao Qian, Cho Chang, and Pang Yuan. Pang Yuan was actually a thousand faces messenger. These days, he rarely saw people with the excuse of recuperating. In fact, he was secretly working with Leng Shiqi to collect information on Pang Yuan's habits and behavior. At this point, as long as he didn't make a move, he wouldn't be exposed. Among the 3 Dark Thunder envoys, only Cho Chang was on tenterhooks. It had already been 5 days since Gong Sunbing went to deliver the letter. According to the distance, he should have already reached West Desolated City and should be on his way back. However, when he secretly used the sound transmission formation to inquire, he was shocked to find that Gong Sunbing hadn't been to West Desolated City at all. Then where did he go? These days, he had been suffering in his heart. He even wanted to take the initiative to find Lang Shiqi and lay his cards on the table. However, Lang Shiqi turned a blind eye to him and treated him as if he didn't exist. Today, Lang Shiqi gathered all of the Dark Thunder Guards. He couldn't figure out what kind of medicine Lang Shiqi was selling in his gourd. Lang Shiqi looked at the Dark Thunder Guards and said in a clear voice, "This time, I've gathered all of you here for one thing. 2 days ago, I received a secret report that the evil bandit Mo Huaisho appeared in the vicinity of Ai Ming Mountain. This person has stolen countless things. It's our duty to get rid of this person. Unfortunately, this bandit's cultivation isn't weak and he's extremely cunning. Therefore, we need to gather all of our forces to ensure that we can kill this bandit. There's no time to lose. If we delay, there might be more changes. Let's set off now." Chapter 310. Great Bandit Mo Huaisho? Appearing at Ai Ming Mountain? Everyone was confused when they heard this. They had all heard of Great Bandit Mo Huaisho's name. He was indeed a heinous person who deserved to be killed. However, the Dark Lightning Guards had their own intelligence network. How could they not know that Mo Huaisho was at Ai Ming Mountain? Ai Ming Mountain was close to Misty Chi City. If he really showed himself there, the Dark Lightning Guards would definitely know. However, since this matter came from the supervisor's mouth, how could they dare to question it? The one who didn't believe this the most was Qiu Cheng. He was in charge of gathering intelligence and he didn't receive any news about Mo Huaisho. In other words, Lang Shiqi was lying. He purposely gathered everyone together and brought them out of the city. What was he trying to do? Qiu Cheng also faintly sensed a trace of danger. But now that he was alone, he could only silently follow Lang Shiqi out of Misty City and head straight for Ai Ming Mountain. The group of Dark Lightning Guards rushed to Ai Ming Mountain at their fastest speed and went up the mountain to search for traces of Mo Huaisho. Not long after, they encountered a fork in the road. Lang Shiqi said, "Let's split up. Xiao Qian and Qiu Cheng go to the left. Pang Yuan and I will bring people to the right." Then, Pang Yuan pointed out more than 20 people. Coincidentally, these people were all Gong Sunbing's trusted aides. These people also realized this after they stood out, but they didn't suspect anything. This was because Pang Yuan was also Gong Sunbing's trusted aide. Since Gong Sunbing wasn't around, Pang Yuan could use these trusted aides. Lang Shiqi instructed, "No matter which side meets Mo Huaisho, immediately send out a signal. Don't fight head-on." This subordinate obeys. Then the group split into two. Lang Shiqi and Pang Yuan led 20 to 30 people and walked towards the right mountain path. They walked until the afternoon, but it was still peaceful. Not to mention Great Bandit Mo Huaisho, they didn't even see a shadow. At this moment, Lang Shiqi's body suddenly stopped. Pang Yuan went forward and asked, "Sir, what's wrong?" "There seems to be some movement up ahead. Go take a look," Lang Shiqi said. Pang Yuan nodded. Then he turned left and disappeared without a trace. The remaining 20 to 30 people were looking around. Suddenly, they saw gorgeous flower petals falling from the sky. Everyone saw different petals, but the petals they saw were the ones they thought were the most beautiful. Unknowingly, they were intoxicated by the beautiful world of flowers. They were completely unaware that Lang Shiqi had already unsheathed his inky jade sword, and a total of 54 demonic patterns were engraved on the blade. Then, over 100 invisible channel-invading sword chi sprayed out and easily reaped their lives. Not only that, but even their remnant souls were absorbed by Lang Shiqi, becoming nutrients for his spiritual power and physical strength. After doing all this, Pang Yuan also returned. He didn't show any reaction when he saw the corpses all over the ground. This was all part of Lang Shiqi's plan. On the other side, Xiao Qian and Qiu Cheng were leading the other Dark Lightning Guards to search for Mo Huaisho. However, Qiu Cheng's mind was not on this at all. He wasn't stupid. He watched as Lang Shiqi and Pang Yuan led Gong Sunbing's men to the other side. What would they do? Qiu Cheng already had an answer in his heart, but he didn't dare to believe it. Chup! At this moment, a sharp sound pierced through the air from afar, interrupting his thoughts. Hearing this sound, everyone immediately turned around. Xiao Qian shouted, "Mo Huaisho is over there, let's go help the inspectors." When Xiao Qian and Qiu Cheng rushed back to the fork in the road, they saw Leng Shiqi and Pang Yuan running over with injuries. Qiao Qian hurried over and asked, "Sir, are you all right?" Leng Shiqi sighed deeply and shook his head heavily. "I'm fine, but..." Qiao Qian looked behind Leng Shiqi and asked, "Sir, where are our brothers?" Leng Shiqi was instantly heartbroken. He revealed a regretful expression and remained silent. Pang Yuan continued, "Sai, we were about to take down Mo Huaishou, but I was too careless and allowed him to use his strongest trump card. Sir Lu was seriously injured in order to protect me, and the rest of our brothers were all wiped out." Completely wiped out. Everyone revealed a look of disbelief. That was 20 to 30 Dark Lightning Guards. Every one of them was an elite that had been carefully selected. They were all gone just like that? However, these words came from Dark Lightning Envoy Pang Yuan's mouth, and the two of them were indeed injured, so they had no choice but to believe it. Even if they didn't believe it, they wouldn't dare to say it. For example, Qiu Cheng. He didn't believe a single word that Pang Yuan said. This was obviously Pang Yuan secretly colluding with Leng Shiqi to eliminate his enemies. However, so what if he knew the truth? If he dared to say it, he would probably die in Mo Huaishou's hands soon. What made him even more fearful was that Leng Shiqi dared to kill even Gong Sunbing's trusted aides. What did that mean? Something might have happened to Gong Sunbing. Gong Sunbing had been gone for a few days, and there was no news of him at all. However, Leng Shiqi was stirring up trouble in Dark Lightning manner, eliminating his enemies without any scruples. He suddenly understood that this time, Leng Shiqi wasn't just eliminating Gong Sunbing's trusted aides, he was also killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Qiu Cheng stood up and said, "Sir Lu, Mo Huaishou killed so many of our brothers. It's a heinous crime. I only regret that I didn't fight side by side with you to kill this evil thief." He even emphasized the words, "fight side by side." Hearing this, Leng Shiqi secretly smiled, knowing that everything was done. He patted Qiu Cheng's shoulder and said, "We will have many chances to kill enemies side by side in the future." Qiu Cheng secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He had succeeded in defecting, and his life was saved. After everyone returned, Qiu Cheng took the initiative to confess that he had sought personal gain. What surprised him was that Leng Shiqi didn't care at all, and even acquiesced to his actions. Qiu Cheng realized that he was wrong from the start. He thought that if this was exposed, he would be severely punished, which was why he stood on Gong Sunbing's side. In the end, Gong Sunbing didn't care at all, and this made him regret. In Leng Shiqi's eyes, every man for himself. He wasn't afraid of his subordinates being greedy, nor was he afraid of their ambitions. In fact, the more someone was like this, the more he would use them. As long as they held their bottom line and didn't touch his reverse scale, he would turn a blind eye. After sending Qiu Cheng away, Leng Shiqi called Qiao Qian and Pang Yuan over. He directly ordered, "Go prepare to recruit Dark Lightning Guards. This time, we will recruit 30. Qiao Qian was delighted. This kind of thing was given to him to do, which showed his trust in him. The recruitment went very smoothly, so smoothly that Qiao Qian was a little self-doubtful. Because in the past few days, there were often people with good cultivation and clean backgrounds who took the initiative to join the Dark Lightning Guards. Originally, he estimated that it would take about 10 days to complete the task, but it was completed in 3 days. At this moment, Leng Shiqi was flipping through the roster of the new Dark Lightning Guards, and nodded with satisfaction. Qiao Qian didn't know, but Pang Yuan did. These 30 Dark Lightning Guards were all black-clothed assassins from the Blood Garment Pavilion. Now, among these Dark Lightning Guards, Thousand-Face disguised as Pang Yuan to monitor Qiu Cheng and Qiao Qian. 1/3 of the Dark Lightning Guards were from the Blood Garment Pavilion. Leng Shiqi's position as supervisor was temporarily stable. Chapter 3:11. On this day, Leng Shiqi sat on the main seat of the supervisor. Qiao Qian had replaced his chair with a chair carved out of jade. It was actually soft when he sat on it, and there was a warm current flowing through his body. Most importantly, the sound of his fingers tapping on it was exceptionally crisp and pleasant to the ears. Leng Shiqi murmured, "Qiao Qian is really considerate." Now, he finally experienced the treatment of a superior, which also proved that he was temporarily stable in this position. The reason why he said temporarily was because Leng Shiqi knew that there were actually many loopholes in everything he did previously. For example, where did Gong Sun Bing and Hang Su go? Were those 20 to 30 people really killed by Mo Huaishou? Mo Huaishou didn't seem to use a sword, and there were many capable people in the Dark Thunder Guards. It was completely possible to determine whether they died by Mo Huaishou's hands from the wounds on the bodies. Even whether Mo Huaishou appeared in the vicinity of Ai Ming Mountain was another matter. These things couldn't be investigated, and as long as someone investigated carefully, they would definitely find a lot of loopholes. But was this important? It wasn't important. The important thing was that Lang Shiqi was now completely in the supervisor's position. As long as he didn't investigate, who would dare to? Taking a step back, whether it was the Dark Thunder Envoys or the Dark Thunder Guards, there were people from the Blood Clothing Pavilion monitoring others. If there were really people secretly investigating these things, Lang Shiqi would know immediately. It was just that these things were more or less a hidden danger. But as time passed, he would be considered to be in the supervisor's seat after he had completely pacified all the Dark Thunder Guards. Lang Shiqi picked up a small stack of files beside him. These were all accumulated in the past few days and were important matters for him to look through as the supervisor. These were basically information on whether there were any problems with a certain person or a certain family, and more than 90% of them were fine. Only a family called the Du family was seriously suspected of colluding with the spies of the 6 nations of the Western region. In Lanqi City, many families were intertwined and controlled more than half of the Lanqi City's business economy. There were a total of 9 clans in the entire Misty Qi City, and the strongest among them were the Du clan and the Jiang clan. Their clan heads were both at the late stage of the spiritual pulse stage. Lang Shiqi pondered for a while and decided not to touch the Du family for 3 reasons. Firstly, he still needed to nurture and stabilize his team. He still needed some time to slowly infiltrate them. Secondly, after all, the Dark Thunder Guards did not have conclusive evidence in their hands. They were just suspicious. Thirdly, he also intended to go into seclusion for a period of time. Before coming to Misty City, Wuxia had given him 20 to 30 rank 3 spiritual skills, but he had been thinking of ways to get rid of his dissidents recently and hadn't had the time to try fusing them. Of course, before he went into seclusion, he had something very important to do. After that, Lang Shiqi came to a heavily guarded place in the Dark Thunder Manor, the treasury. The treasury contained all of Dark Thunder Manor's cultivation resources and resources accumulated over a long period of time. In the past, this place was personally managed by Gong Sun Bing. After he left, he gave the key to Pang Yuan, and now it was in Lang Shiqi's hands. Surin Vigilator. The 8 Dark Thunder Guards in charge of guarding the treasury knelt on the ground and shouted respectfully. Lang Shiqi nodded and opened the door to the treasury. The treasury wasn't very big, only about 10 feet in radius, but there were many things inside. Lang Shiqi could imagine all kinds of cultivation resources. What surprised him the most was that it even included cultivation methods and spiritual skills. Although the highest level was only rank 3, there were still many of them. There were as many as 13 of them. In addition to what Wuxia gave him, it was equivalent to him having more than 30 spiritual skills. This made him even more determined to go into seclusion for a period of time. Without hesitation, he prepared to use his unlimited skill points to learn them. However, when he opened the system, he realized that there was something he was more interested in today's refreshed system store. Rank 2 Index Card. 200 System Coins. Lang Shiqi had used an index card before. This was something that could narrow down the range of the lottery. However, he had only used a rank 1 index card on Blood Mist Island. Now that a rank 2 index card had appeared in the system store, he wanted to buy it and try it out. However, when he saw that his system coins were a big 0, he smiled bitterly. After he came out of the illusory spirit secret realm, he bought a reforge card to reforge the current Inky Jade sword. Then, he went through an unlimited lottery of 1,000 system coins and swallowed all of his system coins. Later, he went to save 9 leave and killed 3 disciples of the Extreme Fire Manor. He also killed 3 Spirit Pulse Realm cultivators in the Southern God Peak and seized a lot of resources. However, those resources were all exchanged for spirit stones and then used to buy materials to help 9 Leave repair his body. 9 Leave's body had long been destroyed under the siege of the experts of the Extreme Fire Manor. Even though Lang Shiqi had paid such a huge price, he had only recovered about 70% to 80%. Speaking of 9 Leave, Lang Shiqi remembered that 9 Leave had been asleep for almost 4 months, but there were still no signs of him waking up. Next, Leng Shiqi took some materials and sold them to the system. In exchange for 200 system coins, he bought a rank 2 index card from the system store. After that, he also filled his pockets with 10 rank 3 spirit pills. Each pill was worth hundreds of spirit stones. Ordinary spirit pulse realm cultivators would need a long time to consume them. On Lang Shiqi's body, including the 30 pills that Wuxia gave him, he already had 40 pills. Lang Shiqi estimated that these rank 3 spirit pills would be enough for him to use until he reached the late stage of the spirit pulse realm. After taking 10 rank 3 spirit pills and some materials, Lang Shiqi did not take any more. As a supervisor, it was fine for him to fill his pockets with things. However, the resources here had to be distributed to his subordinates on time. If he used it recklessly, he might not even be able to pay his subordinates a month's salary. Thus, Lang Shiqi returned to his room and called Xiao Qian, Qiu Cheng, and Pang Yuan over. After the three of them arrived, Lang Shiqi said, "I called you guys over to talk about something. After this, I will be in closed-door cultivation for a while." Closed-door cultivation? Qiu Cheng and the others were stunned. Lang Shiqi had just stabilized his position as a supervisor and was about to go into closed-door cultivation. Was he not afraid of something happening? However, they did not say anything. Lang Shiqi ordered, "The affairs of Dark Thunder Manor will be handled by the three of you. Qiu Cheng, you were originally in charge of intelligence. You will still be in charge. Xiao Qian will be in charge of the affairs of the Dark Thunder Guards. Pang Yuan will be in charge of the handover of missions. I won't be in seclusion for long this time, and it won't be a life-or-death seclusion. If there's anything important, you can come and find me." The three of them said in unison, "This subordinate obeys." For Qiu Cheng, he was already very happy to be in charge of intelligence. He originally thought that Lang Shiqi would suppress him for a while. For Xiao Qian, this was a secret promotion. Originally, he did not have much of a presence among the Dark Thunder envoys and did not have any real power. Now, he was in charge of the Dark Thunder Guards. On a smaller scale, he had to deal with the conflicts between them and give out monthly salaries. However, on a larger scale, this included the mobilization of the Dark Thunder Guards. This was not a small power. Missions were the foundation of the Dark Thunder Guards. Giving them to Pang Yuan in disguise, Lang Shiqi could go into closed-door cultivation in peace. Chapter 3:12. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. In the room, Lang Shiqi was cultivating with his eyes closed. His body was surrounded by a faint gray mist and 5-colored flowing light. His aura was deeper and more stable. His cultivation was already at the 6th level of the Spirit Pulse realm. When he was at the Blood Clothing Pavilion, he had won the Pavilion Master Hateful Blade and was rewarded with the 9 Melody Spirit Fusion Pill. With the help of this pill, his cultivation had skyrocketed to the 5th level of the Spirit Vein realm and was close to the 6th level. Over the past half a month, with the help of several powerful and profound cultivation methods, his cultivation speed had increased by leaps and bounds. The key was that with these techniques, he could almost completely refine the 3rd turn Spirit Melting Pill without leaving any medicinal dregs in his body. Therefore, he refined a 3rd turn Spirit Melting Pill every other day and finally broke through to the 6th level of the Spirit Pulse realm. But at this moment, there was an urgent knock on the door. Before Lang Shiqi went into seclusion, he said that unless there was an emergency, he was not to be disturbed. But now that someone was interrupting his seclusion, it meant that there was something that Pang Yuan and the other two couldn't solve. Lang Shiqi slowly stopped and opened his eyes. The strange thing was that his eyes were very turbid and looked a little sluggish. This was Lang Shiqi using the soul-splitting technique to separate half of his consciousness and immerse himself in the spirit illusion realm. However, that part of his consciousness wasn't refining mental power in the spirit illusion realm, but deducing spiritual techniques. In the past, if he wanted to fuse spiritual techniques, he had to continuously use them. But this way, he couldn't cultivate anymore. Moreover, he was now in the Dark Thunder Manor and there were many eyes. Even if he ordered people not to come close, it was inevitable that some of his information would be exposed. So he had a flash of inspiration and thought of using the soul-splitting technique to separate a part of his consciousness and deduce spiritual techniques in the spirit illusion realm. There were many benefits to this. First, he could cultivate spiritual power while deducing spiritual techniques. Also, he could avoid being spied on by others. Most importantly, if he was outside, he would have to stop to recover his spiritual power after a round of spiritual techniques. But in the spirit illusion realm, with the support of the Heaven Fei Soul Crystal, he could almost continuously use spiritual techniques and fuse them. This saved him a lot of time. Furthermore, the process of fusing his spiritual skills was very smooth. In just half a month, he had fused 2 new unique skills. Furthermore, he had integrated the violent lion's raging forest fist into the ferocious tiger's wave-treading fist. It could be said that he had gained a lot. Unfortunately, he had urgent matters to attend to, so he had no choice but to stop. Lang Shiqi used the soul separation technique and withdrew the other part of his consciousness from the spiritual illusion world. His eyes gradually became clear. Then, he stretched his body and opened the door. What surprised him was that Chao Qian, Pang Yuan, and Qiu Cheng were all standing at the door with anxious expressions on their faces. What could make the 3 dark lightning emissaries so anxious? When the 3 of them saw Lang Shiqi, they were also stunned. As Lang Shiqi had just finished cultivating, his aura had not been completely concealed. They could immediately sense that Lang Shiqi's aura was clearly at the 6th level of the spirit pulse realm. He only went into seclusion for half a month and broke through to the 6th level of the spirit pulse realm. Qiu Cheng was the most shocked because his cultivation was also at the 6th level of the spirit pulse realm. He clearly remembered that it took him 2 to 3 years to cultivate from the 5th level to the 6th level. Of course, he also knew that his cultivation talent was average, but Lang Shiqi's breakthrough speed was too shocking. On the other hand, Chao Qian's reaction was not as exaggerated as Qiu Cheng's. He was only at the 1st level of the spirit pulse realm and had not experienced the hardships of cultivation. As for Pang Yuan, he was only slightly surprised. In his opinion, someone who could possess the silver-patterned blood kill token was definitely a giant among men. However, he still pretended to be shocked. Lang Shiqi did not think much of it. He said indifferently, "What's the hurry? Come in and talk." Qiu Cheng and the other 2 finally reacted and sat down. Qiu Cheng said anxiously, "Sir, actually, there's a secret in our Mist Qi City's Dark Lightning Manor that you might not know about." Let's hear it." Lang Shiqi looked at Qiu Cheng with interest. Qiu Cheng's face appeared to be in a difficult position. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Sir, you should know that although Mist Qi City is not big, it is still relatively wealthy because of the existence of the trade routes." Lang Shiqi naturally knew about this. Although Mist Qi City was far from Western Desolated City, there were still many foreign merchants coming and going. It was considered a relatively prosperous city. Qiu Cheng continued, "Because there are many merchants from the 6 kingdoms of the western regions, some people have other ideas. For example, secretly moving some things that are prohibited by the Thunderfire dynasty." Hearing this, a word appeared in Lang Shiqi's mind. Smuggling. Lang Shiqi's eyes moved slightly. Smuggling was a business with huge profits, but this kind of thing was under the jurisdiction of the Dark Lightning Guards. He looked at Qiu Cheng's troubled expression and felt that there was more to it than met the eye. In Mist Qi City, there are 9 long-established families that are doing this kind of business. At this point, Qiu Cheng couldn't help but glance at Lang Shiqi. Lang Shiqi's expression didn't look so good. He asked, "You mean to say that the Dark Lightning Guards know that these 9 families are smuggling, but do nothing about it?" Qiu Cheng hurriedly explained, "Sir, please listen to this subordinate's explanation. Actually, this matter was tacitly approved by the previous supervisor, Sir Xia Yu." Lang Shiqi's brows furrowed slightly. Was this related to the previous supervisor? Seeing that Lang Shiqi didn't continue to question him, Qiu Cheng continued, "Sir, you're new here, so you might not know that the monthly salary of the Dark Lightning Guards isn't high. Although the rewards for carrying out missions are quite high, no matter what the mission is, it's more complicated and full of danger. The previous supervisor, Sir Xia Yu, treated us extremely well, but the Dark Lightning Manor's own wealth couldn't support it. Thus, Sir Xia Yu thought of a way, which is to tacitly approve of the 9 family smuggling, but they have to hand over a tribute every month." Lang Shiqi finally understood. He felt that Xia Yu was quite daring. There were many people who could think of such a method, but there weren't many who dared to violate the Dark Lightning Guard's duties and do such a thing. Lang Shiqi then asked, "You've said so much. What exactly happened?" Qiu Cheng said, "Sir, We agreed with the 9 families to hand over the tribute at the beginning of every month. But today, the tribute that the 9 families handed over was actually less than half of what they usually hand over. Leng Shiqi narrowed his eyes. He knew why. It was because the 9 families felt that a mid-stage Spirit Pulse Realm supervisor like him wasn't much of a threat to them. Unknowingly, 2 cold rays of light shot out from his eyes. Chapter 313. Seeing Leng Shiqi's expression, Qiucheng shut his mouth. Although he hadn't spent much time with Leng Shiqi, he knew that Leng Shiqi was definitely a ruthless person. 20 or 30 Dark Thunder Guards that had been painstakingly trained were killed just like that. And it had been more than 20 days since Gong Sunbing had left, and there was still no news of him. Qiucheng had already guessed what happened to Gong Sunbing, so he had specifically written that Gong Sunbing was missing in the report. Leng Shiqi pondered for a moment, then said, "Send someone to send the invitations to the 9 great clans. I will invite the patriarchs of the 9 great clans to a banquet at noon tomorrow." Qiucheng and Xiao Qian glanced at each other. Both of them had bitter expressions on their faces. Leng Shiqi also knew what they were thinking. Since the 9 great clans hadn't truthfully handed over their tributes, it was obvious that they had already colluded in secret. If he went to invite the patriarchs of the 9 great clans now, they definitely wouldn't come. At that time, Leng Shiqi would probably lose all face. Leng Shiqi waved his hand and said, "Do as I say. I have my ways. Pang Yuan, stay. Your humble subordinates will do it right away." Qiucheng and Xiao Qian cupped their hands and left. Leng Shiqi asked, "Pang Yuan, Thousand Face, nothing out of the ordinary in the past half-month, right?" Thousand Face said, "Everything is normal, and the black-clothed assassins have completely integrated into the Dark Thunder Guards." "Very good." Leng Shiqi nodded. "Next, I'll have to trouble you to help me find information on the 9 great clans. The more detailed, the better." "Yes." At noon, Wei Guan brought Leng Shiqi's invitation to the Jiang clan. The Jiang clan was one of the top clans of the 9 great clans. He handed over the invitation, and the guard at the door immediately went in to deliver the message. Wei Guan was about to leave when he saw a drunk young man walk over with the help of 2 servants. Wei Guan recognized this person. He was the son of the Jiang clan's first wife, Jiang Xian. Jiang Xian also recognized the clothes of the Dark Thunder Guards. Although Wei Guan was only a reserve member of the Dark Thunder Guards, the style of their clothes were more or less the same. Jiang Xian stepped forward and asked inarticulately, "Why did the Dark Thunder Guards come to our Jiang family?" When Wei Guan turned around, he smelled the pungent stench of alcohol. He resisted the smell and said, "I'm here to deliver the invitation under the orders of the supervisor." "Invitation? What invitation?" Wei Guan hesitated for a moment. He thought that since Jiang Xian was a disciple of the Jiang clan, he would definitely know about this matter. Thus, he said, "It was Supervisor Liu who invited the Jiang clan head to the Drunken Fragrance Pavilion for a gathering at noon tomorrow." Jiang Xian laughed coldly. "Lord Liu, is that Liu Xingji of the middle stage of the Spirit Pulse stage? Ha ha, what a joke. A middle-stage Spirit Pulse Realm cultivator can become a supervisor. It seems like the Dark Lightning Guard has no one. You even invited my father? Do you really think you're something?" Wei Guan's face immediately flushed red. He pointed at Jiang Xian, but didn't dare to say anything. Jiang Xian became even more intoxicated. His face was ferocious. "You, a descendant of the Dark Thunder Guards, dare to point at this young master. You must be tired of living." Jiang Xian kicked out as he spoke. Although he was drunk, his cultivation was indeed at the spirit transformation stage. However, Wei Guan was only at the pure spirit stage. Furthermore, Jiang Xian had suddenly attacked, so how could he avoid it? He was directly sent flying by Jiang Xian's kick and fell to the ground far away. Wei Guan's skin was bruised and his face was swollen. His clothes were also tattered and he had suffered some internal injuries. He stared coldly at Jiang Xian, but he knew that he wasn't Jiang Xian's match. He could only leave without a word. Now that the relationship between the Dark Thunder Guards and the 9 great clans was very stiff, he couldn't cause more trouble. Jiang Xian, however, stood there and laughed loudly. This commotion was neither big nor small, and there were many people around watching. This matter quickly spread to the Jiang Fu. Just as Jiang Xian walked through the main door, he saw his father, the head of the Jiang clan, Jiang Hao, walking over quickly with a calm face. Jiang Hao shouted, "You hit someone from the Dark Thunder Guards." Jiang Xian nodded indifferently and said, "That's right, that Lu Xingji doesn't know what's good for him. He dares to be a supervisor at the intermediate stage of the Spirit Pulse stage. I also heard that he invited the 9 great clans to a banquet. It must be for the sake of the offerings. TSK, when Sha Yu was around, it was fine that he sucked our blood, but now we have given Lu Xingji enough face. It's not like we don't want to give him offerings. What else does he want?" Jiang Hao said with some disappointment, You are, how many times have I told you to drink less? Drinking makes things worse. You have a bad temper, and after drinking a little wine, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. No matter how weak that Lu Xingji is, he is still a supervisor. He also has something on us. If we really push him too far, everyone will fight to the death, and no one will have an easy time. The reason why the 9 great clans joined forces to deliberately give him 1/3 of the offerings is to test his actual situation and reaction, and to understand his temperament. This matter was originally a secret struggle, but you actually beat up the Dark Thunder Guards. This gave them a chance to talk, and our Jiang clan is now in a passive position. At this time, Jiang Xian also felt that he was a little impulsive, but he still didn't care. He asked, "Then father, are you going to the banquet tomorrow?" "Humph, of course not." Jiang Hao snorted coldly. "Then that's it. You guys not going to the banquet will make him lose face. It's the same for me beating up his men. It's a good opportunity to force him." Jiang Hao's expression stiffened. "You sigh, forget it. Hurry and help the young master back to rest." All right, I can walk by myself." At noon the next day, Lang Shiqi arrived at Drunken Fragrance Restaurant accompanied by 3 Dark Thunder envoys. This restaurant was considered one of the more famous ones in Mist Qi City, but it was reserved by the Dark Thunder Manor today. Lang Shiqi sat in a huge private room, leisurely drinking tea. Other than the 4 of them, there was no one else in the private room. It was already past the time stated on the invitation. Qiao Qian and Pang Yuan stood on either side of Lang Shiqi with sullen faces. Qiu Cheng stood at the door and looked around from time to time. He hadn't seen anyone from the 9 great clans yet. It was just as he had expected. But he was also very puzzled. If he could predict this situation, Lang Shiqi naturally could too. But why did Lang Shiqi still do this even though he knew it would end up like this? Wasn't this just making him lose face? Lang Shiqi finished his tea and shouted, "Serve the dishes." Soon, dishes were served one after another. Lang Shiqi ate heartily. Seeing that the other 3 weren't moving their chopsticks, he said, "Don't just stand there. Hurry up and eat. It's not cheap to reserve Drunken Fragrance Restaurant, we can't waste it." Qiu Cheng and the other 2 could only eat as well. But this delicious food tasted like wax in their mouths. Especially Qiu Cheng and Qiao Qian. They simply couldn't understand what Lang Shiqi was planning. Only Pang Yuan could vaguely guess, but he couldn't be sure. Burp. After a while, Lang Shiqi burped in satisfaction. He patted his bulging belly and muttered in a voice only he could hear, "How can I kill if I don't eat my fill?" Chapter 314. The news that the new supervisor of Dark Thunder Manor had invited the 9 great clans to a banquet at Drunken Fragrance Brothel, but no one showed up spread quickly. The entire Misty Qi city was abuzz with the news. At night, in the Jiang residence, Jiang Xian pushed open the door to Jiang Hao's study and said cheerfully, "Father, how is it? I told you that Lu Xingji doesn't know his place." None of the 9 great clans showed up. Ha ha ha, his reputation as a supervisor has been completely destroyed. Who knew that Jiang Hao didn't look happy at all? Jiang Xian's laughter froze. "Father, aren't you happy?" Jiang Hao's eyes narrowed. "Do you know why we didn't show up?" Jiang Xian was slightly taken aback. "Isn't it to make him lose face and let him know that the 9 great clans aren't to be trifled with? In the future, we can just symbolically hand over a little tribute." Jiang Hao said, "You wish. Lu Xingji can take the position of a supervisor at such a young age. Do you think he's that simple? Let's not talk about other things first." Those Dark Thunder Guards won't listen to him if he can become a supervisor with just a Spirit Pulse realm cultivation. But from what I know, the Dark Thunder Manor is clearly under his rule now. This means that he either has a strong background or has many tricks up his sleeve. We didn't show up this time because we wanted to see his reaction. Do you know what he did in the restaurant? Zhang Exine said. What else can he do? He must have flipped the table in anger. Humph, if it were you, you would definitely do something like that. Zhang Hao reprimanded him. Lu Xingji knew that no one was going to show up, but he actually ate and drank in the restaurant. He didn't seem angry at all. This means that he had already expected such a scene. It also shows that he's very scheming. Zhang Exine also stopped joking. Leng Shiqi's reaction was indeed beyond his expectations. Zhang Hao sighed softly. Sigh. This Lu Xingji isn't easy to deal with. Exine, don't go out casually during this period of time. But father. Enough. Go back. After Zhang Exine left, Zhang Hao fell into deep thought again. Not only the Zhang family, but the masters and higher-ups of the 9 great families of Mist City were also aware of today's situation. They were all secretly guessing Leng Shiqi's intentions. The Wang clan was a small clan ranked at the bottom of the 9 great clans. The head of the Wang clan, Wang Chengze, was only at the 5th level of the spiritual pulse realm. In the 9 super clans, they could only drink the leftovers of others. At this moment, Wang Chengze was feeling sorry for himself. Originally, he didn't want to provoke the Dark Thunder Guards, but it was the Du family and the Jiang family who jointly led the reduction of their offerings. Furthermore, this matter had already tied the 9 super clans together. Although he was extremely unwilling, he had no choice but to agree. Today was the new supervisor's banquet, so he couldn't go even if he wanted to. At this moment, Wang Chengze was pacing back and forth in his room. He still couldn't feel at ease. His Wang clan wasn't as powerful as the Du clan and the Jiang clan, nor did he have their heritage. What if the Dark Thunder Guards caused trouble for the Wang family? What should he do? However, just when he was on tenterhooks, he suddenly heard a voice. It sounded like the sound of a long sword being unsheathed. But before he could react, he lost consciousness forever. Behind him, a person in demonic armor had appeared out of nowhere. He was holding a spirit sword with a green gem embedded in his hand. The blade of the spirit sword was also covered with demonic patterns. This person was naturally Leng Shiqi. Leng Shiqi used Byakugan and Hand of Earth to easily sneak into Wang Chengze's room and found that Wang Chengze was still in a daze. However, Leng Shiqi still didn't dare to underestimate the enemy. He immediately activated the demonic beast blood pattern armor and demonic patterns and killed Wang Chengze with one strike. Then, he picked up Wang Chengze's mustard seed bag, but left quietly without dealing with his corpse. It wasn't until early the next morning that the servant in charge of serving Wang Chengze was shocked to find that his master had been assassinated in his own room. The entire Wang clan was in an uproar. Soon, the elders and stewards of the Wang clan all rushed over in panic. When they saw Wang Chengze's cold body, they all felt dizzy. Wang Chengze was not only their patriarch, but also the strongest person in the Wang clan. Other than Wang Chengze, there was only one elder in the initial stage of the Spirit Pulse realm. However, this elder was close to 100 years old. His blood had long declined and was unable to support the Wang clan. In other words, the pillar of the Wang clan had fallen. What was even more frightening was that Wang Chengze actually died silently just like that. Several elders of the Wang clan examined Wang Chengze's death and could see that he had been killed with one strike. Who could kill a Spirit Pulse middle-stage spirit cultivator without batting an eyelid? Unless it was a Spirit Aperture realm expert. However, their Wang clan was only a small clan. How could they be targeted by a Spirit Aperture realm expert? The only Spirit Pulse realm elder in the Wang clan asked, "Did the patriarch offend anyone powerful?" The other elders of the Wang clan all revealed doubtful expressions and shook their heads. However, one of them suddenly said, "Elder, you have been recuperating these days. There is something that you might not know. A few days ago, the Du clan and the Jiang clan took the lead and asked the 9 great clans to reduce the tribute to the Dark Thunder Guards. Do you think it has something to do with this?" "Crazy." The elder was immediately enraged. "Are you crazy? You even dare to offend the Dark Thunder Guards. Elder, you might not know, but the Dark Thunder Guard supervisor is no longer Sha Yu. It is a Spirit Pulse Realm middle stage cultivator called Lu Xingji. Spirit Pulse Realm middle stage? The elder was in disbelief. That's right. That Lu Xingji even hosted a banquet at the Intoxicated Fragrance Pavilion yesterday. He wanted to invite the 9 great clans over for a chat, but no one went. He really has no dignity as a supervisor. What did you say? Stupid, really stupid. The clan elder connected the two things together and said, "We put him in such a difficult position, and he just tolerated it? No matter what, he is still a supervisor, someone with real power. His cultivation isn't high, but it also means that his background isn't weak. Perhaps the assassination of the patriarch was done by him. But there is no Spirit Aperture Realm expert in the entire Dark Thunder Manor." Just as they were in a state of panic, another person hurriedly ran in from outside. He was holding an envelope in his hand and was panting as he yelled, Brother, I'm sorry. Elder, it's not good. The Dark Thunder Guards are here to deliver a letter." What? Deliver a letter? Everyone was shocked. They were just guessing whether the patriarch's death was related to the Dark Thunder Guards. Now they had sent a letter? The elder opened the envelope and saw that it was an invitation card. It invited the 9 great clans to gather at the Intoxicated Fragrance Pavilion at noon. Chapter 3:15. The clan elder's hand trembled and the letter fell to the ground. Everyone saw the contents of the letter, and a shadow fell over the entire Wang clan. The news of the Wang clan head Wang Chengze being killed quickly spread. Strangely, the news wasn't spread by the Wang clan. Instead, the entire street was talking about it early in the morning. This matter naturally fell into the ears of the other 8 clans. Yesterday, they humiliated the Lang Shiqi and Wang Chengze died at night. If someone said there was no connection between the two, they wouldn't believe it. But they couldn't figure it out. There were no Spirit Aperture Realm experts in the Dark Thunder House. Then who could assassinate Wang Chengze silently? Jiang clan. Jiang Hao and Jiang Xian were eating breakfast when they received the news. Jiang Hao immediately lost his appetite. Jiang Xian said, Wang Chengze might have offended someone he shouldn't have. So what if he's dead? We can still take some of the Wang clan's business. Jiang Hao slammed the table and said angrily, Short-sighted. Can't you see that this has something to do with the Dark Thunder Guards and Lu Xingji? Jiang Xian muttered, What could it have to do with you? Jiang Xian wanted to teach him a lesson. At this time, a servant ran over with a letter. Master, young master, this is the letter from the Dark Thunder Guards. Jiang Hao's heart tightened. He opened the letter. The contents were exactly the same as the one from the day before. He muttered, It's him. It must be him. He's starting to fight back. Go, invite the Du clan head over. Wait, I'll go personally. Jiang Hao rushed to the Du clan as fast as he could and met with the Du clan head, Du Hachong. Jiang Hao said anxiously, Brother Du, you also received the Dark Thunder Guard's invitation. Du Hachong nodded. His expression was relatively calm. Brother Jiang, don't be impatient. I still say the same thing. We can't go. Once we go, it means we're giving in. It's not good for us. But Wang Chengze's death is too strange. Yesterday Lu Xingji set up a banquet and Wang Chengze died at night. Right after he died, the Dark Thunder Guard sent an invitation. Lu Xingji is clearly telling us that Wang Chengze was killed by him. But Du Hachong said indifferently, So what? Lu Xingji has some ability to be able to kill Wang Chengze. But the Wang family is only a small family after all. It didn't matter whether he was there or not. The more Lu Xingji acted like this, the more it proved that he was anxious. The more anxious he is, the less anxious we can be. Jiang Hao said, Even so, I'm still a little worried. Brother Jiang worries too much. As long as Dark Thunder Manor doesn't have any Spirit Aperture Realm experts, they won't be able to touch us. If it really is a life and death struggle, humph, not only will he lose his position as supervisor, he might even lose his life. Du Hachong's face revealed a fierce expression, and Jiang Hao's heart calmed down a little, and he silently agreed. By noon, only Lang Shiqi, Chao Qian, and the other 3 were left in the Drunken Fragrance Inn. Lang Shiqi was still leisurely sipping his tea, while the other three were still in a daze. Of course they knew about Wang Cheng's assassination, and they all guessed that it was Leng Shiqi's doing, but they couldn't figure out how Leng Shiqi did it. Especially Qiu Cheng and Qiao Qian, although they saw Leng Shiqi injure Pang Yuan in 2 moves and knew he was strong. But Wang Chengze was different. He was in the Wang family's courtyard. To kill Wang Chengze without anyone noticing was too difficult. Even a late-stage Spirit Pulse Realm cultivator might not be able to do it. What time is it? Leng Shiqi put down his teacup and asked. Qiao Qian said, Sir, it's already past noon. Oh, then let's eat. Qiao Qian. He had a feeling that something was going to happen again tonight. Night. Zhong family. The Zhong family was considered a middle-tier family among the 9 great families, and the Zhong family's patriarch, Zhong Cheng, was a very interesting person. To put it nicely, he was cautious, but to put it bluntly, he was as timid as a mouse. His cultivation was also at the middle stage of the Spirit Pulse realm, and the reason why he was able to sit on the patriarch's seat was because of his eyes that were extremely sensitive to business opportunities. Tonight, Zhong Cheng's study was filled with people inside and outside. Outside, there were dozens of pure spirit realm cultivators constantly patrolling, and in every corner of the study, there were also spirit transformation realm guards. Zhong Cheng was afraid. He was afraid of walking on Wang Cheng's path of retreat. Zhong Cheng saw that there were so many people here, and his heart calmed down a little. He was about to deal with the matter at hand, but a voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Patriarch Zhong really does forget to eat and sleep for the family. Zhong Cheng's body suddenly stiffened, and a chill ran down his spine. He stiffly turned his head and saw a strong young man sitting on the chair beside him. And that young man was wearing the Dark Thunder Guard's clothes. He was Lu Xingji. Zhong Cheng was startled, but he suddenly realized that something was wrong. Were the guards in the room blind? He quickly glanced around and found that the guards were all standing still with their eyes wide open, as if they were stunned. They were already immersed in the beautiful world of flowers. Zhong Cheng couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He knew that since the other party could suddenly appear in front of him and control more than a dozen spirit transformation realm cultivators in an instant, if he dared to call for help, he would have already lost his life before the people outside arrived. His heart couldn't help but panic, but he was still a Spirit Pulse realm cultivator and the head of a family. He quickly calmed himself down and said, So it's the supervisor envoy that has graced us with his presence. Excuse me for not going out to meet you. Leng Shiqi sat on the chair and habitually knocked on the armrest and said, Then why don't you guess what I'm here for? Zhong Cheng's face was instantly covered in cold sweat. He squeezed out a smile and said, I don't dare to guess Lord Lu's intentions. Leng Shiqi took out a wooden box from his mustard seed bag and said, Actually, I'm here to give Patriarch Zhong a gift. Zhong Qing immediately laughed dryly and said, Lord Lu is joking. Still giving a gift? The other party couldn't wait to kill him. Leng Shiqi shook his head and said, This envoy never jokes. Patriarch Zhong might as well open it and take a look. Zhong Qing actually refused in his heart because he could already smell the pungent smell of blood from the box. But he still opened the wooden box, but when he saw what was inside, he immediately covered his mouth. Inside was a head. It was the head of the Lu family's patriarch. Although Zhong Cheng was already mentally prepared, he was still scared out of his wits. Leng Shiqi stood up and said, Tomorrow, this envoy will hold a banquet at the Drunken Fragrance House. I hope Patriarch Zhong will give me face. Zhong Cheng nodded frantically and said, I'll definitely be there, I'll definitely be there. Chapter 316. Today was the 3rd time Leng Shiqi had held a banquet at the Drunken Fragrance Inn. After 2 days of fermenting, almost everyone knew about this matter. The Wang and Lu family heads had died one after another. If it was only one, everyone would still think it was a coincidence. But both family heads had died. This could not be a coincidence. Hearing that the new Dark Thunder Guard supervisor was going to hold a banquet today, many people rushed over with their own thoughts. At this time, there were many people gathered around the Drunken Fragrance Inn to watch the show. They were all waiting to see if anyone from the 9 great families would come today. Of course, the spies of the various families were also mixed in. It was almost noon. A withered old man accompanied by 2 spirit cultivators of the spirit transformation realm walked into the Drunken Fragrance Inn. Seeing this scene, Everyone began to mutter. Who is that old man? He looks unfamiliar. Is he from the 9 great families? I recognize him. He is an old man from the previous generation of the Wang family. He should be about 100 years old now. Teseske. He is so old and he still has to worry about the Wang family. Sigh. That means that the Wang clan is here. This can be considered a start. I wonder how many clans will come today. Humph. 2 family heads have died in 2 days. If the rest don't want to die, they have to come. That may not be so. The Du and Zhang families may not come. At this time, Zhong Cheng appeared with a group of guards. The Lu family people followed closely behind. 3 of the 9 great families had already come. This news quickly spread out, and those families who were still hesitating immediately brought their people over, no longer caring about the Du family and the Zhang family. At this time, Zhang Hao and Du Hachong were playing chess. However, when they found out that other than their 2 families, the other 7 families had all gone to the Drunken Fragrance Inn, Du Hachong smashed the chessboard on the spot. Traitors. A group of traitors. A group of idiots. Zhang Hao's face was also very ugly. The other 7 families had all gone. This meant that they were completely separated from them. In this way, they could be defeated one by one. He said, Brother Du, let's think about what we should do. If the Leng Shiqi draws those 7 families to their side, our situation will be very bad. Let me think. On the other side, in a private room of the Drunken Fragrance Pavilion, Qiu Cheng was smiling as he accompanied the 7 patriarchs. However, the expressions of the 7 people were not as relaxed. The patriarchs of the Wang clan and the Lu clan had both died an unnatural death. In their opinion, they should have died at the hands of the supervisor before them. How could they possibly smile at him? Zhong Cheng was scared. As for the others, they were also scared. They were all afraid that they would follow in Wang Cheng's footsteps. More importantly, they were here, but Leng Shiqi was not. After waiting for a while, the Du family and the Zhang family still didn't come. This was expected by the patriarchs, but Leng Shiqi still didn't show up. However, the family heads didn't ask much and continued to wait patiently. Because they knew that they had stood Leng Shiqi up twice before. Now that the situation had reversed, it was normal for the other party to put on airs. In fact, Leng Shiqi really wasn't at the Drunken Fragrance Pavilion. At this time, he was standing at the door of the Zhang residence. Not only him, but Chao Qian and Pang Yuan were also standing beside him. Behind him were 80 Dark Thunder guards. As for the 2 guards in front of the Zhang residence, they were already beheaded. Leng Shiqi called out a person's name, Wei Guan. Wei Guan was the only person who wasn't a Dark Thunder guard but came with him. Wei Guan bowed and said, Sir, subordinate is here. Kick the door open. Wei Guan trembled with excitement. He took a deep breath and said, Subordinate obeys. He walked to the gilded door of the Zhang residence and recalled the scene of him being kicked away by Zhang Xian a few days ago. He focused all his spiritual power on his leg, and then he suddenly kicked out and sent half the door flying. Such a big commotion immediately attracted many people from the Zhang residence. Zhang Xian and a few of the Zhang residence's higher-ups walked over together. When they saw a group of Dark Thunder guards standing in front of the door with a murderous aura, their hearts suddenly thumped. Zhang Xian saw that it was Wei Guan who kicked open the door of their residence and immediately became furious. He was about to rush up and teach him a lesson when he was pulled back by someone beside him. Third uncle, don't stop me. If I don't kill this servant today, my surname is not Zhang. The one who pulled him back was Zhang Hao's younger brother, Zhang Wei. He was also one of the higher-ups of the Zhang residence and had the cultivation of the middle stage of the Spirit Pulse realm. Nonsense! Zhang Wei shouted and pushed him to the back. He immediately ordered the person beside him to go out the back door to inform Zhang Hao. He walked to the door with a smile and cupped his hands. This one is Zhang Wei. This one must be the supervisor of the Dark Thunder residence, Lord Lu. It's an honor to meet you. Zhang Wei lowered his attitude to the lowest. After all, their family head Zhang Hao was not in the residence and the Dark Thunder guards were obviously coming. What he needed to do was to delay. Delay until Zhang Hao returned. But Leng Shiqi's attitude was unusually tough. Who do you think you are? Let Zhang Hao talk to me. Zhang Wei's face instantly turned red. He suppressed the anger in his heart. The family head is in seclusion. It is the same if Lord Lu has something to say to me. Lang Shiqi said coldly, "Is that so? I suspect that your Zhang residence is harboring spies. I have come to investigate." Harboring spies. Jiang Wei was slightly taken aback. He immediately understood that Lang Shiqi was accusing them. He said, "Lord Lu, our Zhang residence does not dare to accept such a serious accusation. The Zhang residence has always been law-abiding. How can we be harboring spies? If I say you are harboring spies, then you are harboring spies. Dark Thunder Guards, listen up. The Zhang residents colluded with the enemy country and betrayed the country for glory. This crime is not punishable by death. Kill without mercy." Jiang Wei's expression finally changed. He shouted, "Lu Xingji, you are slandering us. What right do you have to attack us without any evidence?" Unexpectedly, Lang Shiqi waved his hand. Behind him, Qiao Qian, Pang Yuan, and all the Dark Thunder Guards swarmed forward and killed their way into the Zhang residence. Lang Shiqi then pointed out a finger, condensing extremely compressed blood radiance and lightning radiance between his fingers. Immediately, a blood-colored finger shot out like a clap of thunder. A thick bloody aura spread in all directions, and the lightning was violent. It headed straight for Jiang Wei's heart. Jiang Wei did not think that Lang Shiqi would dare to attack them in broad daylight. In a hurry, he pulled out a spirit sword. His sword style was quite profound and looked extraordinary. However, before it could fully form, it was shattered by the thunder-like bloody finger and directly pierced through his chest. This was the Thunderblood finger that Lang Shiqi had fused with the level 3 spiritual technique, the Thunder Finger, that Wuxia had given him during his half a month of seclusion. This was the first time that Lang Shiqi had fused a level 3 spiritual technique with a level 4 spiritual technique. This finger combined the extremely strong penetrating power of the Blood Finger and the explosive power of the Thunder Finger. With the two combined, the power of the Thunderblood Finger was second only to the dazzling flurry of flowers and the ephemeral bloom. If Jiang Wei did not notice, it was enough to kill him instantly. Jiang Wei looked at his empty chest. Even now, he still could not believe that he had died like this. At the moment of his death, he seemed to understand why the heads of the Wang and Lu clans had died so quietly. Lang Shiqi walked to his side and whispered, "Don't worry, your Zhang residents will be reunited in good order in hell." Chapter 317. The second strongest of the Jiang family, Jiang Wei, was killed by Lang Shiqi with a single finger, causing everyone in the Jiang family to feel despair. However, when the Dark Thunder Guards rushed forward, their despair turned into death. The number of spirit cultivators in the Jiang family was more than twice that of the Dark Thunder Guards, but most of them were in the pure spirit realm or the spirit gathering realm. There weren't many in the spirit transformation realm. Moreover, Dark Thunder Guards were Dark Thunder Guards after all. These people were selected elites. Their combat strength belonged to the top group of people of the same rank. Moreover, there were 30 assassins in black among the Dark Thunder Guards. What they were best at was killing people. The group of Dark Thunder Guards rushed forward like tigers into a flock of sheep. The Jiang family people collapsed upon contact, unable to stop them at all. The Jiang family still had a spirit cultivator in the early stage of the Spirit Pulse realm, but he was currently surrounded by Qiao Qian and Pang Yuan. His life was at stake, so how could he care about others? Zhang Xian was completely dumbfounded. He watched the Dark Thunder Guards wantonly slaughtering the Jiang family people. He even thought he was having a nightmare. However, the splattering blood and the bursts of screams told him that this was not a dream. Lang Shiqi also noticed Zhang Xian. With a flick of his finger, 2 rays of invigorating meridian sword chi pierced through his legs. Zhang Xian wailed. His body tilted and he knelt on the ground. He watched in horror as Lang Shiqi walked over step by step. That invigilator that he didn't care about yesterday was coming to take his life now. Lang Shiqi brought Wei Guan to Zhang Xian and said condescendingly, "Are you the one who beat up the Dark Thunder Guards?" Zhang Xian saw the undisguised killing intent in Lang Shiqi's eyes. He trembled and a filthy substance flowed out. Lang Shiqi handed a steel blade to Wei Guan and patted him on the shoulder. "I'll leave Zhang Xian to you. You can do whatever you want with him." As he spoke, Lang Shiqi strolled leisurely in the battlefield. From time to time, He would release a few rays of sword chi to kill those who wanted to escape. Wei Guan gripped his steel saber tightly. Seeing the defenseless Zhang Xian, he smiled sinisterly and raised his saber, sending a large head flying. In the Du residence, Jiang Hao was still discussing with Du Hachong how to deal with the Dark Thunder Guards. But all of a sudden, Jiang Hao felt a sense of annoyance. Seeing this, Du Hachong asked, "What's wrong with Brother Jiang?" "I don't know why, but I have an ominous feeling in my heart." Just as Jiang Hao finished his sentence, someone outside ran towards them with a terrified expression. He shouted as he ran, "Bad news, bad news!" Jiang Hao turned around and saw that the man was one of his stewards. His heart sank as he pulled the man over and asked, "What's going on? Tell me." "Ma, Patriarch. Lu Xingji is here with the Dark Thunder Guards." "What?" Jiang Hao could not believe his own ears. Wasn't Lu Xingji at Zui Xionglu with the 7 family heads? How did he come to the Jiangfu? "I don't know, but he doesn't look like he's here with good intentions. Patriarch, you'd better go back quickly." Jiang Hao was about to leave when Du Hachong said, "Brother Jiang, please wait. I'll go with you. With us around, that Lu Xingji won't be able to stir up any trouble." Jiang Hao cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your help, Brother Du." He knew that the Dark Thunder Guards were very strong. If it was just his family alone, he would not have much confidence. But with the Du family, it was different. In the Jiangfu, the Dark Thunder Guards blatantly slaughtered the Jiang family in broad daylight. Such a big movement naturally attracted the attention of many people. At this time, hundreds of people had gathered outside the Jiangfu's main gate to watch. But they all consciously stood more than 100 feet away from the gate, not daring to cross the line. What crime did the Jiang family commit to provoke the Dark Thunder Guards to be mobilized? From the looks of it, they want to exterminate the family. "I heard that the Jiang family is harboring spies and is up to no good." "Really? Who knows, but where did Jiang Hao go? If he's here, the Dark Thunder Guards might not dare to make a move." At this time, Jiang Hao and Du Hachong had rushed over in a hurry. Before they got close to the Jiangfu, they could hear the screams coming from inside. Jiang Hao's face suddenly changed. He took a step forward and rushed out, breaking through the crowd and coming to the Jiangfu's main gate. However, at this moment, he was stunned. He saw the Dark Thunder Guards wantonly slaughtering the Jiang family. He saw his third brother Jiang Wei lying in a pool of blood. He saw the headless body of his son Jiang Xian. Moreover, he saw the Jiang family members dying at every moment. "No!" Jiang Hao roared to the sky. His voice was heart-wrenching and filled with boundless hatred. His gaze locked onto the person in the field who was wearing the inspector's uniform. That was Leng Shiqi. When Leng Shiqi saw Jiang Hao, he chuckled and said, "You're finally here." Jiang Hao gritted his teeth and shouted, "Lu Ken Shi." Leng Shiqi could not be bothered to waste words with him. He clenched his hands and forced out 10 drops of essence blood from his fingertips, forming 10 blood veins. Immediately, demonic patterns appeared on his body. The blood veins merged with the demonic patterns and finally formed 4 blood veins. Leng Shiqi's presence suddenly rose to the late stage of the spirit pulse realm. Although Jiang Hao was furious, he did not lose his mind. He took out a heavy sword. His sword style seemed to be of the same origin as Jiang Wei's. Both were abnormally complex, but he had a heavier presence than Jiang Wei. Leng Shiqi unsheathed his inky jade sword. The sword came out of the ink river. His body was like a gust of wind, instantly bringing with it a majestic sword energy. Jiang Hao swung his sword. It was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. When the two collided, there was an ear-piercing sound. And a visible wave of air spread out, overturning the tiles in a radius of more than 100 feet. Jiang Hao retreated a few steps, but Leng Shiqi did not move at all. Jiang Hao was shocked. His cultivation was clearly higher than the other, but his power was far from the others. Leng Shiqi was not going to let this go. He punched, and in an instant, a deep lion roar sounded. Then a Lion King shadow leapt out and charged at Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao's heavy sword exploded with yellow light, but before he could attack, the Lion King shadow was near him. He immediately felt a terrifyingly powerful fist power come. Even more terrifying was that this explosive fist power was like an endless wave. Zhang Hao lasted less than 2 breaths before his heavy sword cracked. Then the 2 fist powers, one bright and one dark, came at him at the same time. Zhang Hao couldn't help but have a trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth. This was Lung Shiqi replacing the Tiger Roaring Fist of the Tiger Walking Wave Fist with the Violent Lion Rage Forest Fist. Now, it could be called the Lion King Wave Breaking Fist. At the same time, dots of 5-colored light flashed across Lung Shiqi's eyes. Zhang Hao was unsettled and was dazed for a moment. Zhang Hao quickly woke up, but to his horror, Lung Shiqi's figure disappeared. He hurriedly turned around, only to see a very ordinary blade slash across. However, this seemingly ordinary blade slash easily shattered his heavy sword, and at the same time, chopped off his head. Chapter 3:18. Leng Shiqi killed Jiang Wei, who was in the middle stage of the Spirit Pulse Realm, with 1 finger, and killed Zhang Hao, who was in the late stage of the Spirit Pulse Realm, in 3 moves. Such combat power had completely shocked everyone. Not only those who were watching the show, but also the head of the Du family, Du Hachong. At this moment, Du Hachong's face was gloomy as he watched everything that was happening in the Jiang Fu. Originally, he was here to hold the line for Zhang Hao, but Zhang Hao was 1 step ahead. When Du Hachong arrived at the main gate of the Jiang Fu, Zhang Hao was already decapitated. Du Hachong's heart was in turmoil. He had only taken a few steps, and the head of the Jiang family, Zhang Hao, who was in the late stage of the Spirit Pulse Realm, was already killed. Was this new supervisor really only in the Spirit Pulse Realm? At this moment, he also met Lung Shiqi's gaze. Du Hachong finally understood why a person in the middle stage of the Spirit Pulse Realm could hold the position of supervisor. It was not because the Dark Thunder Guards had no one, nor was it because the Dark Thunder Guards were blind. It was because this supervisor had enough strength. Du Hachong was already beginning to regret. He had been wrong from the beginning. The most serious mistake he made was to underestimate Lung Shiqi's strength and Leng Shiqi's methods. Leng Shiqi had used short-lived Night Blooming Sirius. At this moment, he only had 20 to 30% of his strength left. He was definitely no match for Du Hachong. However, his aura did not diminish as he said coldly, "Head of the Du family, the Zhang family secretly harbored a criminal and colluded with the enemy to betray the country. I think the Du family should not have any connection with the Zhang family." Du Hachong's face instantly turned green and white. He knew that Lung Shiqi's words were pure nonsense. He could also see that Lung Shiqi was currently very weak. However, he could not make a move. After all, he was only the head of a family in Lanqi City. If he dared to make a move on the supervisor of the Dark Thunder Guards, his Du family would not be far from being exterminated. Thus, Du Hachong cupped his fists and said, "The Zhang family actually did such an outrageous thing. They really deserve it. I am just passing by, Lord Lu, please go ahead." After saying that, he retreated far away. Lung Shiqi secretly smiled. Du Hachong's appearance here was indeed unexpected, but the result was the same whether he came or not. In just a short moment, all the spirit cultivators in the Zhang Manor had been slaughtered. Xiao Qian and some of the Dark Thunder Guards walked over with dozens of ordinary people. These people were the Jiang Fu's family members and servants. Xiao Qian's face was covered in blood as he asked, "My lord, how should we deal with these people?" Leng Shiqi looked at him coldly and said, "I'll leave these people to you." Xiao Qian's heart tightened when he heard this, but he knew that this was a test from Lung Shiqi. However, Xiao Qian had never experienced this before. Looking at the helpless commoners, he began to struggle internally. At this moment, Pang Yuan walked over and said, "Are you waiting for the descendants of the Zhang family to seek revenge on you 20 years later?" Xiao Qian clenched his fists. He already knew what he had to do. His blood-stained face revealed a savage expression. He shouted sternly, "Kill!" Leng Shiqi turned his back to the crowd and said indifferently, "Quickly plunder all the Zhang family's wealth. We still have guests to receive." Not long after, the Dark Thunder Guards carried 20 to 30 large boxes out of the Zhang Manor, each of them with bloodstains on their bodies. The people outside hurriedly made way for a very wide path. They waited until the Dark Thunder Guards disappeared before they reached the entrance of the Zhang Manor. However, what they saw was a scene of hell on earth. Leng Shiqi led the Dark Thunder Guards to a street corner and split into 2 groups. Most of the Dark Thunder Guards returned to the Dark Thunder Manor with the Jiang family's resources. The other group, the assassins from the Blood Clothing Pavilion, followed Lung Shiqi to the Drunken Fragrance House. At this time, there were many people gathered around the Drunken Fragrance House. Only then did they see Lung Shiqi and the others walking over. However, they also saw the bloodstains on these people's bodies, as well as the smell of blood emitting from their bodies. Especially Chao Qian and Pang Yuan. Each of them was holding a bloody head in their hands. The crowd immediately recognized that it was the head of the Jiang family, Jiang Hao, and his brother, Jiang Wei. The crowd suddenly exploded. However, they were all shocked by Lung Shiqi's group and covered their mouths, not daring to speak loudly. When they walked into the Drunken Fragrance House, there was finally an uproar outside. I didn't see wrong, right? That's the head of the Jiang family, Jiang Hao. That's right, an expert in the late stage of the Spirit Pulse realm died just like that. What happened to the Jiang family? We thought the main event was here, but it's actually over at the Jiang family's side. Let's go to the Jiang family and take a look. In the private room of the Drunken Fragrance House, the 7 family heads were already a little impatient from waiting. It was reasonable for the invigilator to leave them hanging for a while, but almost an hour had passed, and Lung Shiqi still had not appeared. This caused quite a few people to be dissatisfied. However, there were also people who were calm and composed, such as Zhong Chang and the Wang family's elders. At this moment, the Wan family head Wan Shang stood up and said, "Brother Qiu, when will the Lord Invigilator arrive?" Qiu Cheng did not give Wan Shang any face. He said coldly, "The Lord Invigilator is busy with many affairs every day. Wan family head should wait a while. There's no rush, no rush." Wan Shang's temper wasn't very good to begin with. Now that Qiu Cheng didn't give him any face, Wan Shang's face fell. "Brother Qiu, to put it bluntly, my Wan clan is only second to the Jiang clan and the Du clan. The reason I came today is to give face to the Lord Invigilator, but you, a Dark Lightning envoy, do not have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of me." Qiu Cheng smiled lightly and said, "What, is the Wan family head tired of waiting? You can leave at any time, and I will not stop you. It's just that, whether or not the Wan family head can see the sun tomorrow is another matter." Wan Shang was furious, but he did not act out. The reason he came to the Drunken Fragrance House was because he was afraid that he would die inexplicably like Wang Chengza. "Oh, it's quite lively here." At this moment, a voice transmitted over. Following that, Leng Shiqi appeared with Chao Qian and Pang Yuan. Qiu Cheng immediately bowed and said, "This lowly subordinate pays respect to your excellency." When the others saw the bloodstains and blood qi on the Leng Shiqi trio, they all frowned and their hearts tightened. Qiu Cheng handed over a handkerchief when he saw this. Leng Shiqi picked up the handkerchief and wiped the bloodstains on his hands. He said, "This envoy came late and made all the family heads wait for a long time. Truly sinful. But the reason why this envoy was late was to prepare some small gifts for everyone." Chao Qian and Pang Yuan understood and casually threw the heads hidden behind them onto the table, only to see 2 bloody heads roll several times on the table. The entire table was already stained with blood. The 7 family heads looked over. Those 2 heads that died with remaining grievances were actually Jiang Hao and Jiang Wei's heads. The 7 people were all horrified. Just now, Leng Shiqi didn't care about them slapping Leng Shiqi's face, and now he didn't pursue the matter of less consecration. Then what did he want? Leng Shiqi said, "From today onwards, the rules of consecration should be changed. From today onwards, your consecration will no longer be handed in according to the amount, but according to your monthly share of profits." Zhong Cheng asked hesitantly, "Lord, how much do we have to hand in?" Leng Shiqi stretched out his hand and raised 3 fingers. 30%. 30%. Everyone trembled. They all felt that Leng Shiqi was asking for too much. Their monthly profits were not small, but just supporting such a large family was a huge hole. In addition, they also had to train the family's children and leave behind capital for unexpected needs. After all, they didn't have much left in the first place. If they had to hand in 30% to the Dark Thunder Guards every month, then they really wouldn't be able to eat. Wan Shang was the first to disagree. He said with a sullen face, "Lord Lu, the consecration last time was too small. I admit that we were wrong. In the future, we will make up for it. But, isn't 30% too much? We really don't know what to say." He felt that he had already lowered his attitude to the lowest. He was waiting for Leng Shiqi's reply. However, what was waiting for him was Leng Shiqi's explosion. Leng Shiqi formed a seal with one hand, and lightning suddenly appeared in the room. A dozen lightning bolts as thick as an arm smashed down. It turned out that Leng Shiqi had already set up a lightning array in the room. How could Wan Shang have thought that Leng Shiqi would suddenly attack when they were talking nicely? The dozen lightning bolts smashed down, causing Wan Shang to scream in pain. The lightning entered his body and numbed him. At the same time, Leng Shiqi unsheathed his black jade sword. Demonic patterns appeared, and a sword ray that was like splashing ink suddenly slashed down. Wan Shang's head also slid down and coincidentally rolled onto the table. Leng Shiqi put away his sword and sat down, as if nothing had happened. He sighed softly and said, "I haven't finished speaking yet. What's the rush? It's finally quiet now." "Right, where was I just now?" The remaining 6 people were all dumbfounded. Their hearts almost jumped out of their bodies. How could they have expected that Leng Shiqi would suddenly kill people on the spot? And this room had already been tampered with. While they were frightened, they were also very glad. They were glad that Wan Shang was the first to speak, and not them. Otherwise, the head rolling on the table wouldn't be Wan Shang's, but one of them. Zhong Cheng was usually the most timid, and he cherished his life the most. He was the first to react. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He said, "Sir, you said that we have to pay 30% of the profits every month. Zhong Cheng will definitely do it." Leng Shiqi nodded with satisfaction and said, "Very good. The Wan family's business will belong to the Zhong family in the future." Just a simple sentence from him had caused the Zhong family's business to increase by more than twofold. Zhong Cheng immediately knelt down and said, "Thank you, sir, for your reward. From now on, the Zhong family will belong to sir. I will definitely serve sir with all my loyalty." Seeing this scene, the other 5 people were a little regretful. If they had surrendered earlier, the Wan family's business would have been theirs. It must be known that the Wan family was a powerful family second only to the Zhang family and the Du family. They had many shops and resources in their hands. Leng Shiqi naturally saw through their thoughts. "Family heads, don't be anxious. The Zhang family has been destroyed, and there are many businesses left. They can all be divided among you." Hiss! The 6 of them secretly gasped. The Zhang family was a big family. Even if the 6 of them divided it equally, they would all get a big piece of fat meat. If that was the case, paying 30% of the profits every month did not seem unacceptable. They were all tempted. Leng Shiqi continued, "This is just a small profit. The reason why I asked you to pay 30% is because I will give you more wealth. As long as you agree to my conditions, from now on, you don't have to do that business secretly anymore. You can do it openly. I will support you." The patriarchs naturally knew what Leng Shiqi meant by that part of the business. It was smuggling. In the past, even with the tacit consent of the Dark Thunder Guards, they were careful and did not dare to go too far. If they could do it openly as Leng Shiqi said, it would be equivalent to a business with small capital and huge profits. Huge profits. Huge profits. In this way, their profits would soar several times, or even 10 times. Even if they paid 30% of the profits, the remaining profits would be much more than what they were getting now. The 6 of them said at the same time, "We are willing to be Sir Lu's leaders." Chapter 320. In the courtyard of the Dark Thunder Manor, there were more than 60 heavy boxes. Most of these were the resources obtained from the Jiang and Wan residences, and a small portion was the offerings from the remaining 6 families for this month. Although Leng Shiqi said that he didn't care, they handed them over obediently. The Dark Thunder Guards also surrounded these boxes, their eyes shining. They had never seen so many resources piled up together. This was already more than 3 times the wealth of the Dark Thunder Manor. Leng Shiqi said loudly, 20% of these resources will be mine, and 30% will be yours. The Dark Thunder Guards were moved when they heard this. With so many resources, even if they split 30% equally, it would be equivalent to their monthly salary for a year. They were a little surprised that Leng Shiqi was so generous, but of course, they were even more delighted. The remaining 40% will be given to the supervisor in charge of the North County, Lord Duan Chun. Leng Shiqi promised to openly smuggle resources to the families in Lanqi City. This was actually breaking the rules of the Dark Thunder Guards, so he needed to use a large amount of resources to shut Duan Chun's mouth. As for the last 10%, give it to the city lord's residence, Leng Shiqi said. He had caused such a big commotion in the city and even killed the entire Jiang family in broad daylight. How could the city lord's residence not know about this? However, the city lord's residence and the city guards didn't react at all, which meant that they tacitly approved of Leng Shiqi's actions. This was a small favor that Leng Shiqi had to repay. After distributing the resources, Leng Shiqi began to pick what he wanted. There weren't many cultivation methods and spiritual techniques among these resources, and their grades weren't high either, but Leng Shiqi still secretly learned them. It was good to expand his spiritual techniques. Then, he directly took 23rd transformation spirit pills and some rare treasures to strengthen his body. During this period of time, he had consumed a lot of 3rd transformation spirit pills. In order to increase his cultivation rapidly, he had to replenish some. But at the same time, because his spiritual power was increasing very quickly, his physical strength hadn't increased much in a long time. It was already a bit of a burden to him. Therefore, Leng Shiqi was preparing to refine some treasures to increase his physical strength. Other than these, he only picked some resources that were not commonly used in order to accumulate system coins. After that, Leng Shiqi went back to his room and sold all the materials to the system for 1080 system coins. Looking at the system coins, Leng Shiqi's mind became active again. Now, he could draw 10 intermediate lottery draws and 1 unlimited lottery draw. Both methods had their pros and cons. Leng Shiqi hesitated for a moment before deciding to do an unlimited draw. The unlimited lottery draw could be said to be a way to win big with a small amount of money. It was indeed very likely that it would draw a beginner or intermediate prize, which would make him suffer a huge loss. However, it was also possible to draw a high-level or even God-tier prize. Rather than drawing some useless mid-level prizes, it was better to gamble. Moreover, he came prepared this time. That was the Stage 2 index card that he bought before. With this, the probability of drawing a good prize would increase by a lot. Since he had made up his mind, Leng Shiqi directly opened the lottery draw page and locked onto the unlimited lottery draw. However, at this time he first used the Stage 2 index card. The first thing he could do was to take the initiative to choose which world the prize came from. Animation world, literature world, film world, game world, etc. Leng Shiqi did not hesitate to choose the game world. Then, many options appeared in front of his eyes, including equipment, materials, mounts, items, instance dungeons, skills. As soon as Leng Shiqi saw the word mount, he thought of it. When he completed the mission on Blood Mist Island, he had drawn an advanced mount pill. He had been keeping it at the bottom of his chest until now. If he could get a mount, then the high-grade mount pill would come in handy. However, a hint of hesitation flashed in his eyes and he gave up. This was because no matter what mount he drew, it would be a bit eye-catching. If it was an ordinary mount, it would be fine. However, if he drew a creature that did not exist in this world, how would he explain it? Therefore, he still chose the skill. After a flash of light, a system notification appeared in front of his eyes. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the top prize. Fate. Fate. Leng Shiqi did not immediately remember what skill this was. He could not help but look at the skill description. Displays the location of all creatures on the map, including those in stealth mode, for 6 seconds. When the Fate skill is activated, the user can be teleported to any place within 100 miles after 5 seconds of channeling. Cooldown time. 1 natural day. When Leng Shiqi saw this description, he finally remembered. This was the ultimate skill of the Cardmaster in the Alliance game. This skill did not have any actual killing power, but it had a strong support ability and could instantly turn the situation into a situation where there were many enemies. However, the current skill was slightly different from the one in his memory. Since this was the real world, it was reasonable for it to be a little different. However, Leng Shiqi was still a little doubtful about the display of creatures on the map skill. This skill might require him to use his system map. However, if he did not open the system map, would this skill not work? Why not give it a try first? Just as Lung Shiqi was about to try out the skill, he realized that this skill could also be upgraded. He hurriedly used his unlimited skill points to upgrade Fate, but it could only be upgraded to level 3 at most. He looked at the skill description again. The original 6 seconds duration had now been extended to 10 seconds, and the range had also expanded to a radius of 300 miles. Lung Shiqi was also quite curious about the effects of Fate, so he immediately activated it. Immediately after, his system map automatically opened, and the field of view on the map kept increasing. However, the strange thing was that even though his field of view seemed to be high up in the sky, he could clearly see everyone on the map. It was a pity that his system map was not lit up much, and most of it was still pitch black. Within a radius of 300 miles, only Misty City, Ai Mingshan, and the road from the West Wilderness Prefecture to Misty City were lit up. Now he finally understood that as long as he willed it, he could directly teleport to any lit-up place on the map. After activating Fate, it only lasted for 10 seconds, and soon more than half of it had passed. Lung Shiqi originally did not intend to teleport out, but just as he was about to deactivate the skill, he suddenly noticed someone. That person was the head of the Du family, Du Hachong. They had just met this morning, but Du Hachong was already 100 miles away from Misty City at this time. Coincidentally, the direction he was heading in was a third-rate sect that Lung Shiqi had passed by on his way to Misty City. Lung Shiqi's eyes flashed, and red, blue, and yellow lights lit up under his feet. Finally, his figure disappeared. Chapter 321. In the Misty Chi City's City Lord's mansion, City Lord Sun Gang was reading a piece of information carefully. A person was standing behind him with 6 large chests beside them. After a while, Sun Gang put down the report and smiled. This Lu Xingji is quite capable and bold. He's quite interesting. Standing behind him was the commander of the Misty Chi City's city guards, Su Ji. Both of them were at the Spirit Aperture Realm. Since the West Desolate Province was at the border, the weakest person who could hold the position of City Lord and commander of the city guards was at the Spirit Aperture Realm. Su Ji said in a deep voice, City Lord, it's fine that Lu Xingji eradicated his dissidents. After all, it's an internal matter of the Dark Thunder Guards. However, he executed the entire Jiang clan in public, which has already made everyone in Misty Chi City anxious. It's indeed a bit too much. Also, he actually dared to let the other major clans, other than the Du clan, smuggle in public. He's simply audacious. Sun Gang looked deeply at Su Ji and said, Su Ji, you have to know that our City Lord Residence's responsibility is to ensure the stability of Misty Chi City. We don't have to care about anything else. Even if the major clans smuggle in public, it's the Dark Thunder Guards who are in charge. If this matter is exposed, the Great Supervisor will naturally deal with Lu Xingji. We don't have to interfere. Moreover, you've seen the report on Lu Xingji. You think he's reckless and audacious, but I dare to bet that the North Region's Great Supervisor Duan Chun won't find trouble with him. Not only did a mid-stage Spirit Aperture Realm cultivator quickly secure his position as a supervisor, he even used his authority to make a fortune. Even the higher-ups will turn a blind eye to it. How can such a person be a fish in a pond? The more Su Ji listened, the more annoyed he felt. He knew what Sun Gang said, but there was an indescribable feeling in his heart that made him unusually depressed. However, Sun Gang could see through Su Ji's thoughts. He was jealous. As a supervisor, Lung Shiqi's position was half a level higher than Su Ji's, but his cultivation was far inferior to Su Ji's. That was fine. Su Ji was conscientious in managing the city guards and had never made any mistakes. However, he could only receive a fixed monthly salary. What about Lung Shiqi? They had only been in Misty City for a few days, but they had already plundered a large amount of resources. As the saying goes, there is no harm if there is no comparison. Su Ji was really a little jealous. However, Sun Gang didn't expose him. He said, what I'm curious about is, how will he deal with the Du family? Back then, it was the Jiang family and the Du family who had joined forces to pressure Lu Xingji. Now that the Jiang family had been annihilated, the rest of the families had already sided with Lu Xingji. What would he do with the Du family? Du Haxiang must be very anxious as well. That's right. Du Haqiang was very anxious. It could even be described as fear and terror. At this time, he was galloping on his horse. His horse was not an ordinary horse, but a specially bred spirit horse. In a sense, the spirit horse could also be reluctantly called a demonic beast that was not ranked. It could travel hundreds of miles in a day. Of course, it was very rare and could be counted with one's fingers in the entire Misty Chi city. Du Haqiang hurried on his way. His heart was filled with worry and fear. It was too fast. Lang Shiqi took down the major families too quickly. It was so fast that it was beyond his imagination. It was so fast that he was afraid. In just 3 days, the original 9 superclans had become 7 superclans. Now the remaining 6 family heads had already sided with Lu Xingji and had even made a fortune because of it. His Du family had become a loner. If this went on, Lang Shiqi wouldn't even need to do anything. Just the 6 major families would slowly crush the Du family. Now that the Du family was relying on themselves, they would follow in the footsteps of the Jiang family sooner or later. Thus, he needed to seek help. And the person he sought help from was the third-rate sect, Profound Yang sect. Profound Yang sect was located on Profound Yang Mountain, more than 200 miles away from Misty Chi City. Du Haqiang rode on his spirit horse and could reach it in less than a day. At night, Du Haqiang could already see Profound Yang Mountain. His heart also calmed down a little. However, what he didn't know was that in the forest that he had just passed, someone was hiding and watching him. This person was naturally Lang Shiqi. During the day, after he activated his fate skill, he saw Du Haqiang galloping on his horse. The reason why Lang Shiqi chose to attack the Jiang family today was because Jiang Xian had beaten up Wei Guan. This was a loss of face for the Dark Lightning Guards, which was also a loss of face for Lang Shiqi. Secondly, the Jiang family obviously didn't betray the country, but the Du family was really suspicious. However, the Dark Lightning Guards hadn't found any conclusive evidence yet. Thus, Lang Shiqi wanted to lure the snake out of its hole. He deliberately chose to destroy the Jiang family to intimidate the other families. At the same time, he wanted to make Du Haqiang panic. Once he panicked, he would naturally seek help. Whoever he looked for would be the biggest suspect. As long as he followed this trail, he might really be able to catch a big fish. Lang Shiqi saw the direction that Du Haqiang went and determined that he was most likely going to Profound Yang sect. Thus, he directly teleported to the vicinity of Profound Yang Mountain. At this moment, Du Haqiang really appeared here. Lang Shiqi thought to himself. This time, after activating his fate skill, he came out a bit suddenly. However, in the Dark Lightning manner, no one would go to his room in a short period of time. He decided to wait until tomorrow to teleport back. Right now, he was preparing to sneak into Profound Yang sect to investigate. When Du Haqiang hurriedly entered Profound Yang sect, he didn't know that there was a tail following behind him. Profound Yang sect master, Li Xianyang, was a gray-haired old man. However, his cultivation was actually at the late stage of the spirit aperture realm. When he found out that Du Haqiang wanted to see him in the middle of the night, he was a bit surprised. When he saw the travel-worn and anxious Du Haqiang, he knew that something bad was going to happen. When Du Haqiang saw Li Xianyang, he immediately went over and said, "Sect Master Li, something bad has happened." Li Xianyang sat down and said, "Speak slowly." Du Haqiang said, "Sect Master Li, that matter can't continue. Not to mention that matter, even my Du family can't protect itself now." Li Xianyang frowned. What happened in Misty Chi City? Following that, Du Haqiang told him about what Lang Shiqi did. Li Xianyang exclaimed in surprise, "This Lu Xingji actually has such methods." Actually, there was something he didn't say in his heart, and that was that Du Haqiang was too useless. That's right. Originally, Sect Master Li wanted me to work with the other 8 great clans to provide Zhu Lugua with the fine iron to make arrows. Actually, everything was going quite smoothly. However, ever since that Lu Xingji came, he turned Misty Chi City upside down. Now, my Du family is the enemy of everyone in Misty Chi City. We could be overthrown at any time. Sect Master Li, please help this Du. Li Xianyang's eyes were filled with killing intent. Humph, He's just a brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Since he doesn't know what's good for him, then let's change the supervisor. The previous supervisor, Xia Yu, will end up like Lu Xingji. Chapter 322. Leng Shiqi, who had heard all of this, was secretly shocked. He had only come to investigate who the Du family was colluding with, but it ended up implicating the previous supervisor, Xia Yu's death. And the Du family and the Profound Yang sect were actually in cahoots with the Zhu Lu country. The Zhu Lu country was the weakest country among the 6 countries of the western region. Its area was not even as big as the western desolate province. Through the Profound Yang sect and the Du family, they smuggled large amounts of fine iron from the Thunderfire dynasty to forge arrows. What did they need arrows for? Of course it was to fight. Now, it seemed that this small country was actually hiding quite a big ambition. Leng Shiqi thought to himself. This trip could be considered a coincidence. Not only did he find out the cause of Xia Yu's death, he also found out that the Du family and the Profound Yang sect were secretly colluding with the Zhu Lu country. However, it was useless, because he had no evidence. The Profound Yang sect was not a small Jiang family that he could destroy as he wished. If he could have conclusive evidence, it would be a great contribution. However, Leng Shiqi heard the meaning behind Li Xuanyang's words. They seemed to want to make a move on him. Leng Shiqi concealed his aura and continued to listen. Li Xuanyang said, "Take a short rest and rush back immediately. Don't alert anyone. Then, think of a way to lure Lu Xingji out of the Misty Qi city. As for the rest, This Du understands, but..." Du Hachong was a little hesitant. "But what?" Du Hachong said, "It's just that the storm of Xia Yu's death is not over yet. Although the Misty Qi city did not send the Dark Thunder Guards to investigate, the North Region supervisor, Duan Chun, has been secretly investigating this matter. If we kill Lu Xingji now, will we be exposed?" Li Xuanyang stroked his beard and said, "You've thought it through quite thoroughly. But don't worry, I'm not going to kill Lu Xingji this time. With his insignificant cultivation, if I wanted to kill him, would I need you to lure him out? Coincidentally, the Zhu Lu country's people gave me a strange goo poison that can control people's hearts. It's just right to use it on Lu Xingji, a Spirit Pulse Realm supervisor. At that time, we will have a Dark Thunder Guard supervisor in our hands. It will be more convenient for us to do things in the future." Du Hachong was bewildered. There's actually such a miraculous item in this world. If that's the case, we can control the Dark Thunder Guards in Mist City without being targeted by Duan Chun. This is killing several birds with one stone. Alright, you should hurry back to avoid being noticed. I'll do it right away. Soon after, Du Hachong hurriedly left the Profound Sun Mountain. However, Leng Shiqi did not leave. He listened to Li Xuanyang and Du Hachong's plan and was glad that he had made the trip. Otherwise, with his character, he might really be lured out of the city by Du Hachong. The consequences would be unimaginable. However, since he already knew, the initiative was in his hands. The reason he didn't leave was because he felt that Li Xuanyang was hiding something from Du Hachong. He wanted to find out what Li Xuanyang was planning. Moreover, he couldn't rush back to Mist City. He could only wait for Fate's cooldown to be over and teleport back. After Du Hachong left, a person walked in. He was the Grand Elder of Profound Sun Sect, Li Feizhou, a Spirit Aperture Realm middle stage cultivator. Profound Sun Sect was founded by Li Xuanyang and Li Feizhou, 2 Spirit Aperture Realm experts. Li Feizhou said in a deep voice, "Senior brother, you're sinking deeper and deeper." Li Xuanyang didn't look at him and said indifferently, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sigh, senior brother, you and I are already so old, why can't you see past it?" "See past it? You're the one who can't see past it." Li Xuanyang's voice suddenly became louder. "You know that we're already so old, but among our disciples, which one has the hope of breaking through to the Spirit Aperture Realm? When we're all dead, do you think Profound Sun Sect will still exist without a Spirit Aperture Realm expert to hold the fort?" Li Feizhou shook his head. "It's fate. Profound Sun Sect's fate may only allow it to exist for a few decades." Li Xuanyang said angrily, "What fate? I don't believe in fate. As long as I can help Zhu Lugua collect the refined iron, They will give me the first Origin 9 aperture crystal. With it, I can break through to the Gang Spirit Realm. Gang Spirit Realm. At that time, I will not only prolong my life, but also lead Profound Sun sect to become a second-rate sect. Li Feizhou saw Li Xuanyang's crazy expression and couldn't help but sigh. Senior brother, you know better than anyone whether you're doing this for Profound Sun sect or for yourself. Whether it's to collect refined iron for Zhu Lugua or to kill the previous supervisor, Sha Yu, this crystal is enough to destroy Profound Sun sect. Do you really think the Dark Thunder Guards of Western Wilderness Prefecture are mediocre? I'm afraid they've already noticed it, but they're not 100% sure. Once the Dark Thunder Guards find evidence, Profound Sun sect will be destroyed. What's more, the Discipline Commission is watching us covetously. Senior brother, what you're doing is pushing us to the edge of a cliff. A little carelessness and we'll fall into the abyss. Listen to my advice and stop. Stop. Li Xianyang laughed. Haha, Feizhou, you're still so naive. From the moment I helped Zhu Lugua transport refined iron, we had no way out. For the sake of our many years of friendship, as long as you don't stop me, you'll still be the first elder of Profound Sun sect, and I won't pursue the matter of you practicing demonic arts. But if you're stubborn, don't blame me for being cruel. Li Xianyang flicked his sleeves and left. Li Feizhou sighed deeply and also walked away, but his figure looked a little stooped. Lang Shiqi, who was hiding underground, understood everything after hearing all this. Zhu Lugua needed refined iron that could only be produced in the Thunderflame dynasty, and Li Xianyang needed rare materials to break through to Gang Spirit Realm. So they hit it off. Although the Profound Yang sect was a third-rate sect, it was still a proper sect for spirit cultivators. There were many families that wanted to curry favor with the Profound Yang sect. In Lang Shiqi's opinion, there should be a lot of people like Du Hachong, who were scattered in the big and small cities around Profound Sun sect, collecting refined iron for Profound Sun sect. At this moment, Lang Shiqi quietly sneaked out of the Profound Sun mountain. He knew that a huge contribution was placed in front of him. However, if he wanted to take all of this contribution, he would have to carefully arrange everything. First of all, Du Hachong could be used, and he could also ask his Dark Thunder Guards to check if there were people smuggling refined iron in other cities. The more people he managed to dig out, the greater the credit he would get. In addition, he had to find a way to overthrow Profound Sun sect. As long as he could prove that Profound Sun sect colluded with Zhu Lugua, he would not only have a great merit, but also get an unimaginable amount of resources. But it was impossible for him to do this alone. Li Xianyang alone could kill him with 2 slaps, not to mention other things. So this matter had to be planned carefully. Lang Shiqi thought to himself, the most important thing now is to prove Du Hachong's crime, then use him as a springboard to find evidence of Profound Sun sect. Du Hachong is easy to deal with, but to deal with Li Xianyang, I have to borrow the strength of others. Lang Shiqi thought for a while. He had 3 choices. First, he could report this matter and let the supervisor Duan Chun deal with it. The Dark Thunder Guards of the North region were more than enough to deal with Profound Sun sect. But if he did that, all the merit would go to Duan Chun. At most, he would get the supervisor credit and get the leftovers. Second, he could join forces with the Misty Chi City's City Lord Manor. The City Lord Manor also had 2 Spirit Aperture Realm experts and hundreds of city guards, so he did not need to fear Profound Sun sect. But he had not interacted with the City Lord Manor's people before, so he did not know their depth. There was no trust between the 2 sides. Third, he could mobilize the people of Blood Robe Pavilion. He had the silver-marked Blood Kill order, so he could mobilize a large number of assassins in the West Desolate Province. He could even directly destroy Profound Sun sect. But if he did that, it would be difficult to explain the origin of the experts of Bloodrobe Pavilion, and it would be very easy to be exposed. If he was found out, then all his efforts would be in vain. Just as Lang Shiqi was hesitating, his illusion world trembled slightly. Chapter 323. Suddenly, Lang Shiqi felt the illusion world tremble slightly, and then a lazy voice sounded, Lang Shiqi, quickly release my main body. When Lang Shiqi heard this voice, he knew that Nine Leaf had woken up. Fortunately, he had already left Profound Sun Mountain. He quickly sank into the ground and opened up a space to release Nine Leaves' main body. Immediately, a green light drilled out from between Lang Shiqi's eyebrows. It was Nine Leaves' soul body. Lang Shiqi keenly observed that Nine Leaves' soul body was obviously much stronger than before. After Nine Leaves' soul and fleshly body fused into one, her fleshly body immediately released traces of purple light. Now, Nine Leaves' main body was already the size of a millstone, and it was still growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not only was her body growing, but her aura was also growing. It wasn't until Nine Leaf grew several times that it stopped, and her aura was clearly that of a rank 4 monster. Lang Shiqi was secretly shocked. Recently, Nine Leaf had been sleeping for a long time, but she didn't do anything. After waking up, she directly advanced, which made Lang Shiqi a little envious. Nine Leaf spun around twice and said, "The recovery of the body is not bad." Lang Shiqi raised his eyebrows slightly. Although Nine Leaf only said this short sentence, he still felt that Nine Leaf's tone and attitude seemed to have changed. He remembered that when he was still in the demonic Miasma mountain range, Nine Leaf had been demoted from a rank 7 great demon to a rank 2 little demonic beast. All day long, she looked like she had a deep grudge. She even asked Lang Shiqi to address her as an equal. Later, she became a rank 3 monster and was very curious about the outside world. It seemed that she had the mentality of a little girl. Now, Lang Shiqi dared to feel that Nine Leaves' tone was a little cold. Lang Shiqi decided to test it out. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior, congratulations on recovering your rank 4 cultivation. It's just around the corner." Nine Leaves said, "I've only recovered a little. It's just a little bit. There's still a long way to go before my cultivation recovers. Your cultivation has also improved very quickly. Where are we now?" Lang Shiqi grasped an important point from Nine Leaves' words, which was that Nine Leaf felt that he already had the foundation to establish himself. She was now a 4th rank monster beast, which was equivalent to a spirit aperture realm expert. However, with her strength she could even fight with those in the gang spirit realm, so she did have the confidence. But this is not good for Lang Shiqi. This was because the difference in their strength was too great. Although the two of them had an equal blood contract, the difference in their strength still put them in different positions. Perhaps this was the reason for Nine Leaves' change in attitude. The demon race was just that straightforward. Lang Shiqi briefly explained what happened in the Western Wilderness Prefecture. Of course, he did not mention anything about the Blood Seed project. Nine Leaves said, "You ran from Donglin County to Mukon County and then to the Western Desolate County. In just a few months, you've traversed the entire Thunderblaze dynasty. It's a pity that there's still something good in Extreme Fire Manor. With my current cultivation, I can get it, but it's too far away." Lang Shiqi did not expect that Nine Leaf was still thinking about the things in Extreme Fire Manor. However, it was precisely because Nine Leaf swallowed a large amount of resources in Extreme Fire Manor that he quickly recovered to the 4th rank. Nine Leaf continued, "Since we've come to the Western Wilderness Prefecture and are still close to the 6 countries of the Western region, there must be a lot of good things here. You continue to be the supervisor. I'll go out for a walk." Speaking of this, Nine Leaf planned to leave directly, but Lang Shiqi stopped him. "Senior, please wait. I actually have a request." Nine Leaf smiled humanly and said, "Humph, I knew something was up from your expression just now. You can tell me, but how much effort do you want from me? You have to pay the corresponding price." Lang Shiqi had known this would happen. Fortunately, he now had the support of the Dark Thunder Manor and the 6 families, which should be enough for Nine Leaf. Thus, he told Nine Leaf about Li Xianyang and Du Hachong teaming up to attack him. Nine Leaf said, "There really is such a parasite that can control people's hearts. However, I'm guessing that this thing should have a huge flaw." "Interesting. Do you want me to kill Li Xianyang?" "Easy." Lang Shiqi was shocked. Li Xianyang was a late-stage spirit aperture realm expert, but in Nine Leaf's mouth, he was like a fish on a chopping board. However, Li Xianyang could not die yet, so he said, "Li Xianyang is going to die, but before he dies, there's something I want to do." Junior plans to. Nine Leaf's eyes lit up when he heard Lang Shiqi's words. "Lang Shiqi, you're quite thoughtful. I can do what you said, but you have to pay the corresponding price." Lang Shiqi said, "Senior Nine Leaf, what do you need?" "There's no Yao core here, so I need a large amount of heavenly treasures. The worst has to be rank 4. Leng Shiqi said without hesitation. After Junior destroys the Du family, all of the Du family's resources will belong to Senior. Nine Leaf tilted his head. Brat, you're getting more and more adept at making empty promises. Junior doesn't dare. Forget it. My strength has increased greatly, so I'm in a good mood, so I won't bicker with you. Moreover, I can give you a piece of information for free. Information? Leng Shiqi felt it was strange. Nine Leaf had been asleep all this time, so what information could she have? Of course, he still said. Junior would like to hear the details. Nine Leaf's voice became serious. After I woke up, my soul recovered to the level of a rank 4 Yao beast. It shook your spiritual space. You should have felt it. Leng Shiqi nodded. But at the moment when it shook, I faintly sensed another aura in your spiritual space. What? Leng Shiqi was shocked. He knew what Nine Leaf meant. In other words, other than Nine Leaf, there were other things hidden in his spiritual space. But what could it be? Nine Leaf continued, I can also tell you that other than me, there are 2 other auras in your spiritual space. Your spiritual space has undergone a mutation, and the heavenly Yao soul crystal has merged into your spiritual space. And I'm a soul-leaving scorpion, so I'm very sensitive to soul auras. Moreover, I've used the heavenly Yao soul crystal to cultivate for hundreds of years, so I definitely can't be wrong. 2. Leng Shiqi was no longer surprised, but his heart sank, and he frowned. Senior, what are the characteristics of those 2 auras? I only sensed it for a moment. One of them gave me a dreamlike feeling. The other one is very strange. It seems to be between a living thing and a dead thing. This aura is hidden very deeply, almost to the depths of your soul. Leng Shiqi's face became more and more ugly. He was secretly guessing what those 2 auras were. Mo Ling, Nine Leaf, and Meng Tianzong had entered his spiritual space before. According to Nine Leaf, that dreamlike aura should be Meng Tianzong. He remembered that in the different space of the Divine Dream Illusion Palace, when Meng Tianzong woke up, everyone's memories had been tampered with. However, he absorbed a 7-colored light and instantly opened 9 spirit veins. He thought to himself, it must be at that time that Meng Tianzong did something to me. He didn't kill us, so he has other plans. But what is the other aura? The other one shouldn't be Mo Ling. Mo Ling was already killed by me. Even if he wasn't completely killed, he should have released demonic energy. Between a living thing and a dead thing? Hidden in the depths of my soul? Suddenly, Leng Shiqi's mind flashed. His body trembled, and 2 words appeared in his mind. System. Chapter 324. Leng Shiqi felt that if he guessed correctly, the other aura should be the system. The system was obviously not a product of this world. According to the language of his previous world, the system should be called artificial intelligence. That was why Nine Leaf said that its aura was between a living thing and an inanimate object. Leng Shiqi's soul had crossed over. Since he could open the system, it meant that the system was indeed hidden in the depths of his soul. In addition to the system, there was also Meng Tianzong in his spiritual fantasy world. Leng Shiqi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect that if he went to the spiritual fantasy world, he would be able to gather a table of mahjong. Let's talk about Meng Tianzong first. He was an absolutely ruthless person who killed tens of thousands of disciples. Such a person hid an aura in his spiritual fantasy world. This must be Meng Tianzong's method, but Leng Shiqi couldn't do anything about it. Other than being careful, there was really no other way. Even Nine Leaf could only feel a trace of Meng Tianzong's aura when he broke through. This meant that Meng Tianzong was far more powerful than Nine Leaf. Even Nine Leaf couldn't help with this matter. Compared to Meng Tianzong, Leng Shiqi cared more about the system. When it came to decorum, Leng Shiqi really loved and hated it. If it weren't for the system, he might have died on Blood Mist Island. How could he be where he was today? However, he had seen too many systems in his previous life. Many of the system's bound hosts had become the system's puppets, which made him wary of the system at all times. This was like Lin Ying in Shi City. Lin Ying's ring hid an evil old man. If Leng Shiqi didn't kill Lin Ying might suddenly rise up and become one of the peerless geniuses of Donglin County. He did get a lot from the evil old man, but the result was that he would probably become a tool for the evil old man's rebirth. Lin Ying's relationship with the evil old man was similar to Leng Shiqi's relationship with the system. Leng Shiqi didn't want to become a puppet, so he had been working hard to fuse spiritual techniques and techniques. He wanted to use this method to get rid of the system's shackles. Even if he were to lose his system one day, he would still have a way to survive. More importantly, if even Nine Leaf could sense the system, it meant that the system was most likely in the process of awakening. What would he do when the system awoke in the future? Leng Shiqi didn't know. Suddenly, he felt very confused. He just wanted to settle down in this world and live freely. However, all sorts of inexplicable things swarmed over. Whether it was Mo Ling, Nine Leaf, or Meng Tianzong, they were all existences that he couldn't afford to offend. However, it seemed that they were all coveting something from him. Perhaps it was talent? Perhaps it was the future. The more Leng Shiqi thought about it, the more confused he became. Even his head started to hurt. Seeing his pained expression, Nine Leaf said, "You don't have to be so distressed. It's still unknown whether this is a blessing or a curse for you. If you can devour those two auras, the benefits will be beyond your imagination. Of course, the premise is that you have enough strength." Devour? Strength. Nine Leaf's words made Leng Shiqi instantly sober up as if he had been enlightened. That's right, no matter how distressed he was, he couldn't solve the problem. It was better to increase his strength as much as possible. With strength, he would have the capital to face Meng Tianzong and the system. Just as Nine Leaf said, he could even devour Meng Tianzong and the system. Leng Shiqi closed and opened his eyes. His entire person did not change at all, but there was an additional aura around him that said that he would remain unmoved no matter what happened. In his mind, his will to pursue strength became even more firm. Nine Leaf thought to himself, "Two people actually came in without me noticing. Hee, there are quite a few people who have their eyes on this kid. However, since I found out, don't blame me for what happens next." Leng Shiqi took a deep breath and collected all his thoughts. Then, he adjusted his breathing on the spot and waited until the cooldown of the fate skill was over before he directly teleported back to his room. Leng Shiqi didn't hide this from Nine Leaf because he couldn't hide it even if he wanted to, unless he had to walk more than 100 kilometers back to Lanqi City by himself. He arrived in Lanqi City in an instant. Nine Leaf exclaimed, "Teleportation? No, when did you have such an ability? Even a powerhouse in the divine origin realm can't do that." Leng Shiqi explained, "This is the power I obtained from the aura hidden in the depths of my soul. However, there are also many restrictions." "I see," Nine Leaf said indifferently, but her tone was a little meaningful. Leng Shiqi returned to his room. He first carefully checked the door and found that there were no traces of it being moved. This meant that no one had entered his room during the day he was gone. However, he wasn't sure if anyone had come to look for him. Then, as usual, Nine Leaf's soul body entered Leng Shiqi's spiritual fantasy realm while her body was stored in the system space. Leng Shiqi sorted out his thoughts and decided to start his plan. He shouted, "Men!" Someone immediately pushed the door open and came in. It was Wei Guan. He bowed and said, "Sir." Leng Shiqi looked at Wei Guan's expression and didn't find anything unusual. It seemed that he hadn't left during this time. "Go and inform the 3 Dark Lightning envoys to meet me in the meeting hall in 15 minutes. "Yes." 15 minutes later, Leng Shiqi and the other 3 gathered in the meeting hall. Leng Shiqi sat on a jade chair and said, "Today, I have 2 things to tell you. First, you must keep a close eye on the Du family. If there's any movement, you must inform me immediately. Second, spread the news and tell all the Dark Lightning envoys to pay attention to the surrounding cities for people smuggling refined iron." Xiao Qian and the other 2 knew that Leng Shiqi was preparing to make a move on the Du family. They said simultaneously, "This humble one obeys." Just as they were about to leave, someone reported, "Sir, Commander Su Ji of Lanqi City City Guards requests an audience." "Su Ji wants to see me?" Leng Shiqi was also a bit surprised. He had never met this Su Ji before and had no interactions with him. What did he want? But since he came, he obviously couldn't refuse him. "Invite him in." Qiu Cheng rolled his eyes and said, "Sir, this Su Ji is at the early stage of the spirit aperture realm. He's a bit stingy." I'm afraid he didn't come here for anything good. Lang Shiqi nodded slightly. Not long after, a tall and sturdy middle-aged man with a square face and silver armor walked in. Lang Shiqi cupped his fists and said, "Commander Su, I've heard a lot about you. Please sit." Suji said, "Sir Lu is too polite." He sat down without any trace of politeness and said, "The three of you can leave." As soon as these words were spoken, Qiu Cheng and the others frowned, and they said in their hearts, "Isn't this Suji a bit too arrogant?" Lang Shiqi chuckled. Chapter 325. Suji's actions made Lang Shiqi look bad. This was Dark Thunder Mana. What was the meaning of him, the commander of the city guards, coming here and pointing fingers at the Dark Thunder envoy in front of Lang Shiqi? In fact, Suji was also testing Lang Shiqi. He wanted to see how Lang Shiqi would react. Would he silently endure it, or would he lose his temper? But Suji never thought that Lang Shiqi would actually laugh. In terms of cultivation, Suji was naturally one realm higher than Lang Shiqi. But in terms of status, Lang Shiqi was the supervisor of several cities, while Suji was only the commander of Lanqi City's city guards. Speaking of which, Lang Shiqi could be considered half of Suji's superior, but they weren't in the same system. Suji humiliated Lang Shiqi in front of everyone, yet he still laughed? Suji couldn't figure out Lang Shiqi's thoughts. Lang Shiqi chuckled, "Didn't you three hear? Commander Su asked you to leave. All right, if you have time, you can take a look around the city guards." At this point, Lang Shiqi glanced at Suji. Who knows, there might be people in the city guards who break the law. Suji's expression became unnatural. He knew that Lang Shiqi was using his authority to suppress him. But the Dark Thunder envoy did have the right to supervise the city guards. Xiao Qian and the others really did leave, looking like they were going to carry out their orders. This time, Suji was a little embarrassed. He originally wanted to test Lang Shiqi, but in the end, he embarrassed himself. He couldn't help but feel a little angry in his heart. He coughed dryly. "I did come here to discuss something important. It's best if you and I know each other." Lang Shiqi was also secretly guessing Suji's thoughts, but he couldn't figure out what Suji wanted to do. He said, "Commander Su, if you have something to say, just say it." Suji clapped his hands and said, "All right, Lord Lu is straightforward. There's no one else here either, so this Su will say it directly. I've heard that Lord Lu is secretly supporting a few big families to do some small business. I don't know if this is true or not." Lang Shiqi obviously knew what this small business meant, but he immediately pulled a long face and said with some anger in his voice, "This is pure nonsense. Where did Great Commander Su hear this news? Humph, I don't know which rascal dares to slander the Dark Thunder Guards. I'm afraid he's tired of living." At the same time, Lang Shiqi also understood that Suji wanted to interfere. Suji saw that Lang Shiqi refused to admit it and sneered in his heart. He said, "Lu Darren, if you don't want people to know, don't do it." Moreover, as long as something like this was done, it was impossible not to leave traces behind. At that time, if it were to accidentally reach the ears of the great supervisor, Lord Duan Chun, I'm afraid it would be difficult for Lord Lu to clean up the mess. Lang Shiqi's face darkened. "Commander Su, are you threatening me?" Suji shook his head and said, "No, this Su is here to help Lord Lu." "How is Commander Su going to help me?" Lang Shiqi also wanted to know how Suji was going to help. Suji said, "Those families are involved in smuggling. Even if they have Lord Lu's secret support, it is inevitable that they will be exposed. However, if we add the cover of the city guards, then it will be foolproof." Lang Shiqi was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Commander Su is right. Then what does Commander Su want?" Suji raised a finger. "I heard that Lord Lu wants the families to hand over 30% of the offerings every month. This Su wants 10% of that." 10%? Suji wanted to take a third of it? Lang Shiqi's heart gradually rose with cold-killing intent. But he nodded and said, "I can promise you." When Suji heard this, he was stunned at first. He didn't expect Lang Shiqi to agree so easily. Lang Shiqi changed the topic. "However, I also have a condition." Suji felt that this was normal. "Lord Lu, please say it." I need Commander Su to help me destroy the Du family. Du family? Su Ji's eyes flashed with a trace of doubt. Since Lord Lu can destroy the Jiang family, it shouldn't be difficult to destroy the Du family. Lang Shiqi shook his head. Commander Su may not know, but according to my subordinates, there are other hidden experts in the Du family. If I act rashly, even if I can destroy the Du family, I will suffer heavy losses. Commander Su should know that it is not easy for us to train a qualified Dark Thunder Guard. Su Ji knew that Lang Shiqi's words were true. Every Dark Thunder Guard was strictly selected and trained. They were indeed elites and couldn't be lost. As long as Commander Su agrees to this, I will give you 10% of the offerings. Su Ji felt that even if the Du family had hidden experts, no matter how strong they would only be in the Spirit Pulse realm. In front of his Spirit Aperture realm cultivation, they were nothing. He only hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Lang Shiqi clapped his hands and said, "Good. My subordinates have been secretly watching the Du family's every move. After a while, when I find a suitable opportunity, I will immediately send someone to inform Commander Su. However, Commander Su shouldn't reveal himself so easily. When the time comes, we will still need to disguise ourselves. As long as we destroy the Du family, you and I can silently make a fortune." At first, Su Ji felt that it was a bit troublesome. In his opinion, directly destroying the Du family would be enough. However, Lang Shiqi was right. His identity as the commander of the city guards was very sensitive and couldn't be casually exposed. In that case, I will wait for Lord Lu's good news, Su Ji said as he stood up. It seemed that he had the intention to leave. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Lang Shiqi took out a token and said, "This is a token. If there is any news, I will send someone with this token to inform Commander Su." "That is good. I will take my leave. I will see Commander Su out." After Lang Shiqi sent Su Ji out the door, he looked at his departing figure with a strange look in his eyes. It was the look of someone looking at a dead man. 3 days later, Lang Shiqi received a report from his subordinates. It said that Du Hachong had secretly left the city with 2 trusted aides. The head of the family had secretly left the city? There must be something fishy. Lang Shiqi's heart skipped a beat. He knew that Du Hachong was deliberately luring him out. If he hadn't heard the conversation between Li Xianyang and Du Hachong, he would definitely have thought that there was something fishy and secretly followed them. He sneered. "You are luring the snake out of its hole. Aren't I doing the same?" Someone, call Pang Yuan over. Not long after, Pang Yuan arrived. Lang Shiqi handed him a token and a small package. "Thousand Face. Give these things to Su Ji. Remember, you must not let anyone know." Thousand Face smiled. "Don't worry, Lord. This subordinate is the best at this." Lang Shiqi's fingers kept tapping on the jade chair. He went through the plan in his mind from beginning to end. After making sure that he didn't miss anything, he put on a disguise and quietly left the city. The plan began. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.